Hey YouTube, we're back.
This one's for you tonight.
Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's for you.
Here's Riley.
Oh my God. Here's Amy.
Do you know what that was a reference to?
Johnny Carson.
Yeah, what he used to say when he would have people on back in the Johnny Carson era.
But made famous by horror classic The Shining.
Exactly. I wanted to start out this episode as scary as possible with you because It is October, and so I thought you might be scared, and by the look on your face, you were.
I really was. Speaking of, this is how my brain works. My brain went Stephen King.
Well, Johnny Carson.
Cinematrix. Rob Reiner today. I use Misery.
Oh, good.
Stephen King.
Good. People don't remember.
It was 18%. I thought it would be better.
No one was thinking about that.
Yeah, so I did his cameo in Wolf of Wall Street came to me.
Jonah
luckily.
Hill's dad, I think, right?
Yeah.
No,
Or
he's
Leo's
someone
dad.
else's dad. You're
Leo's
right.
dad?
Yeah, he's Leo's dad.
And When Harry Met Sally, could have done Spinal Tap, could have done Princess Bride, could have done
Stand By Me?
Stand By Me.
Did he do that too?
Yep.
So people don't associate him with this horror classic, but he's got.
I mean, 18% of people did.
Yeah, but that's low, right? We consider that low.
Yeah, it was okay.
Oh.
I get disappointed when it's like over 10.
Do you think anything could have been better?
There's a Spinal Tap sequel, I think, that was really low percent or something. It was called like The Return of Spinal Tap or something.
Well, people don't talk about that too often. That there was a Spinal Tap. I've only heard about the one. There's a sequel.
I think people were pulling that thing where they typed in Spinal Tap and then saw a different one and then selected that. You know,
Oh,
like sometimes you can type something in and then there will be like a random other one with the same words in it that you're like, ooh, this is probably even more rare. Never heard of it, but it will work.
okay. So but what does that mean? There is actually a Spinal Tap sequel.
I didn't look into it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad that you brought this up. Rob Reiner, Johnny Carson. I was thinking about The Shining just because I've been in a scary mood watching a bunch of scary shit, so I thought that would be the appropriate way to start this episode.
Yeah.
But but anyway, how are you doing?
We haven't been in person in a long time, so we're like getting familiarized.
Yes. So if you are watching on YouTube, you'll see something completely different than you've seen the last 7 weeks, and that's that Amy and I are together again for the first time, which it feels, I mean, you know, I missed you obviously, but it also has gone by so fast.
I know. It feels like it's been a couple weeks, not that many weeks.
I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
So anyway, you came to my home. You got to meet my daughter Penny for the first time.
So cute.
Were you proud of her?
She's sleeping.
Yeah, she was sleeping with Megan, but I think that she definitely took in you being here, and she appreciates that. So thank you for visiting her.
She's in the dream world, not hearing this crap we're talking about.
Right.
I don't even know where to begin. I was just telling you that a couple nights ago I did see Joker 2 Folie A Deux.
Okay, I want to see it so bad, and I'm glad you watched it. I'm very confused by the critical reception. So before you shatter my confusion, I have to ask. So I want to just set it up where I've heard only horrible things that the end makes fans so upset that they want to cry because it does something demythologizing about Joker, that critics absolutely hate it because it's like a slog and boring and not fun. And then the only counter evidence I have that it could be good is, first of all, I liked Joker 1, and I think critics want to slam this one because it's an easy target because they lament the success of Joker 1. And then number 2 is that my friend Pete, who I really trust his opinion, I mean, we're synced 95% of the time on all films, he gave it 4 stars and said, I love this way more than Joker 1. What the hell are the critics talking about? So he gave me this counter narrative. So that's what I'm going into for Joker 2, but I won't know, obviously, until I see it. Yeah. But I now want to hear your thoughts because you might sway me on the fence, either side of this.
Yeah. Well, lucky for you, I think it'll end up going on Max sooner rather than later.
Because it's not doing well.
Yeah, and they have no sanctity with their theatrical releases anymore. I'm surprised they didn't just throw it on there first.
Yeah. Okay.
But I agreed with the slog contingent. Obviously, I was much more likely to be interested and enjoy it because I love Lady Gaga. I love musicals. But unfortunately, I feel that they underutilized those elements, and people should know it is in form a courtroom drama.
Okay. Yeah. that I forgot to say. Finding out that aspect of it, that made me bummed out because that sounds like the worst possible scenario that I want to see the Joker in. Is like, Your Honor, I object to being the Joker. I think that was I didn't know it'd be like that.
Yeah.
So it's more courtroom than musical.
Yeah, it's all jail and court.
Okay.
So there's no real arc because everything that has happened in the first movie, and he does meet Lady Gaga, so that is something that happens. But generally it's like litigating what happened in the first movie.
So it's kind of like, is it a meta commentary on what the reaction was to Joker 1?
I think so. I think he may have said that, or I've heard people say that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very like muted. So the parts that are theatrical are so quiet that like you're finally like, let's get some energy. And then it's like, they're like, what the world needs now. And you're like, come on, let's live a little. Like, let's go.
Right. So you want that musical aspect to bring it back to life a little bit, but then that has all the energy of basically the courtroom scenes. I also was bummed out. I did think they would write maybe original music and not just sing covers. I thought it'd be like, I'm the Joker and you're Harley Quinn. But it sounds like it's just them doing old standards together.
Yeah.
Did you find any merit to it?
It was just boring.
Man, I'm wondering why my friend, not to call him out, but I'm wondering why my friend, who I trust almost always, enjoyed the courtroom aspect of this. I'll have to ask him. He's away on a trip.
I don't fault anyone. Like, even Megalopolis, like, I am finding more and more of my friends that have turned out to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. How many?
At least 3.
Okay. Wow, I'm going to ask after, after this episode.
But I'm like, there's a difference between enjoying something and thinking that it's good, in my opinion. Like, I think Megalopolis could be enjoyed
really
within the knowledge that it's like ridiculous.
Okay.
Like, it's camp. If you want to, like, you can enjoy a bad movie.
Yes.
Knowing that it's bad.
Right.
Or flawed or like unintelligible.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Like The Room and stuff. Like, I get so much joy. I laugh at every aspect of it. It gives me so much entertainment, but I know it's a horrible movie. But are you saying that Megalopolis has more merit than Joker 2?
Potentially, just in the sense that at least it was like something to behold, whereas like Joker 2, I was like, why did we do this?
So, okay, all right. I mean, I just have to say, I could watch just Joaquin Phoenix read, names out of the phone book on camera, and I would think that would be better than Megalopolis as of now. But
I think I would way rather watch Megalopolis again than Napoleon. Or potentially Folie A Deux.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's
Napoleon sucked.
Napoleon was very bad.
It was, again, boring as fuck.
Yeah, very boring. Okay, so this is as boring as Napoleon?
It's like it takes its sweet ass time. Like, the opening, no spoiler, just like, it's like him walking for like what feels like 5 minutes.
Whoa.
Like, you're like, please.
He's walking?
Like, you're just like, throughout the movie, like, it just like takes it's like him walking to his cell, from his cell to court. Like, you're just like, oh my God, like, please, like, get to where we're going.
Wow. So they really, he's kind of walking
And
as
I
the
don't think
Joker.
Joaquin even likes this movie.
Really?
That's the rumor. He
Who
doesn't
said
like
that?
how it turned out.
Why do you think? Todd Phillips? You think that Todd...
Even though
well,
they're close collaborators.
some people say that Todd Phillips was like, doing this on purpose, making a horrible...
Like a fuck you.
A fuck you to... why would he do that?
No, I think he
Loves
said
it?
that I listened to him on Fresh Air,
Me
which
too.
Terry Gross loved it.
Yeah.
So take it up with her. Like, yeah, he was like, we were so sad to finish the first movie that we really wanted to revisit whatever his name is.
Arthur Fleck?
Yeah. Which I don't understand.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes me
Like,
sad.
why is that man so iconic to you?
Arthur Fleck. The Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think I think he likes using the pretense of these genre movies that have a baked in fan base, and
Sure.
also they make money
Yeah, it was smart.
to do his experiments. But I wish he would have done the genre experiment that he wanted to do within Joker better. I mean, I haven't seen
And
it,
not
so I don't
spent
know.
$200 million.
Is it 200?
Yeah.
It's
150 or 200.
It sounds like if it's only the courtroom and jail, like was there some reason why they wanted to whittle down the locations, like for the budget or something? They wanted to just
Plus, they spent a shit ton of money filming it in LA.
maybe 50 million for Todd Phillips, 50 for Joaquin, and 50
It was
for Lady Gaga.
2010, I think.
Wait.
The men got 20 and Gaga got 10, I think.
Oh, it was 20 million, and 10 million?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
So that's the whole budget of the first movie right there.
They got that. Okay. To make, wow. I can't imagine that it has a way bigger budget, but it seems way more scaled down for Folie A Deux.
I don't know what they spent it on.
Big, huge payday, the back end or something maybe. But wow, okay, well, you convinced me again. Now I just went from going, okay, I think this could possibly be good and all the critics are wrong, to now I'm worried and I think it could be bad. I really do not think that the courtroom aspect of it sounds entertaining to me at all. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds like a major drawback. But I'm glad you saw it, and I'll see it someday. Probably, like you said, when it comes to Max, if I
Yeah.
ever get a chance to see a movie again.
Yeah, but Gaga's costumes are beautiful. Great gowns, beautiful gowns.
Good.
Speaking of scary, also, did you see Bethenny popping off about Kamala on TikTok?
So you sent it, and I saw it floating around, but I didn't dedicate the 5 minutes to watching it. Bethany's in the news a lot. I mean,
She never stops.
she makes news every week.
She posts like an ungodly number of times a day.
So tell me what happened.
This is like the first one that I feel like I'm seeing some blowback for. Like, I got served a lot of reaction videos of people talking about them being
But she always gets
upset.
But she always gets blowback.
Yeah, but this I feel like broke through a little more just because of the political nature.
Political blowback.
But essentially, Bethenny, because as she loves to do, her opinion, I know it all,
Yes.
whatever. Like, she thinks that she's the master of all domains.
Mm-hmm.
She said that Kamala, it was a bad look for her to go on Call Her Daddy during the hurricanes. Bethenny had been on Call Her Daddy the week before, which I think is part of this.
Wow.
She doesn't want her shine stolen or something.
Did that episode already come out?
It was live, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if they aired those, but I saw a video from it.
Okay.
She's like touring. Call Her Daddy is touring.
Oh, okay.
And so Bethenny was like, it's a bad look. She didn't stick the landing. If I were advising her, I would never tell her to do that. She was kind of saying that it was like unserious, even though like if you actually listen to it, which it turns out Bethenny didn't.
Okay. So she just had a take on
The
something
way
that
she did with the Rachel Ariana thing, she didn't watch Vanderpump and decided it was horrible.
Okay, so immediately you can't really take much stock in what she says. It's
Right.
just the appearance of.
She heard clips, I guess.
Okay.
But like generally they talk about like reproductive rights. Like that was like the angle that she took because she considers it sort of like a female centric podcast. So they talked a lot about stuff like that, and like that story that Kamala brings up constantly of like her friend being sexually abused in high school, and like all this stuff. So it was like a grounded conversation. It was like, I'd say widely considered like good.
Okay,
Like I
good.
listened to it and I was like, yeah, it was good. And it was 45 minutes, by the way. It
Oh,
didn't
wow.
like rip her from her duties. Like she went to DC and talked to her for 45 minutes. Like
Right. Yeah.
it's fine. And it's like the campaign trail, unfortunately, in our world we live in, must continue. Like
Yeah.
they have to continue to campaign. And Bethenny said that Kamala came off as a pick me girl. And my friend made a great point. Don't the candidates want you to pick them?
Yeah. I was going to say that. That's a great point. It's the whole thing. It's a pick me
Pick me.
election. I mean, I swear, if you talk about the other side of the aisle, Trump
Desperate to be picked.
I mean, you could even argue he's saying pick me all the time. So I think that, like you said all the right points that just are coming up in my brain as well. Bethenny likes to have a take on absolutely everything. She didn't watch it, so she has no clue. Also, Call Her Daddy is like a huge platform, which is great. And if someone like you listen to it and you're like, Kamala came off good in this interview, it's like, then you obviously are the right audience for what she wanted to do, and she pulled it off. And the 45 minutes during a hurricane, I mean, there's so many campaign events happening in the last week or 2 weeks. You can't just put your campaign on hold, even if for 45 minutes, not a big deal. So all her points sort of are invalidated. Bethany just, she likes to have a take
I
on
am
something.
like suspicious of, so like I know that she hangs out with some MAGA people, like whoever she like went on a private jet with apparently is like sort of like a Joe Rogan type figure. I forget his name, like something
Bethany?
Dylan.
Bethany went on. Yeah, I can't keep track of this new school of podcasters and broadcaster. Dylan.
Something people will know.
I keep thinking Dylan Francis.
I think it might. I don't know. I had never heard of him. Not my thing.
Bethany
but
was on a private jet with.
yeah, and she's
Not
like,
Dylan.
she's like, he's freaking hilarious. Like, she's always like, I crossed the political divide. She's always like talking about how she's said this since she was on RHONY. Both candidates are bad, but I'm always like, it really does feel like she refuses to say anything negative about Trump. Like she'll never. And I'm like, why are you willing to be hard on the women candidates more than this man who's like clearly insane? Like, what are you afraid of?
I wonder. Yeah, that's true. I wonder. I mean, you could imagine before Trump became a political figure that Bethany. Well, I wonder what her impression of him was before he ran for politics, because he was sort of like a New York figure. So maybe she has some, like Ramona. They have like a legacy with Donald Trump as New Yorkers that we don't have. Like he was showing up to like their parties and going to the. What's the place where they always see that one guy, Tom, kissing people? He was probably at the Regency hanging out.
I know that she said one time that he knows who she is because she said she was doing, I've told this before, but she was doing the walk of shame outside of Dennis's apartment and Trump was outside. This was, I think, pre-politics. And he goes, Bethenny Frankel, everyone. Look, it's Bethenny Frankel. And she said she was in like the walk of shame outfit. And she was like, no.
I don't think you've ever told me that before.
She said that somewhere.
What was Donald Trump doing outside of that place? Dennis's apartment.
Maybe he lived in Trump Tower. I don't know.
Which one was Dennis again?
The RIP one.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Rest in peace, Dennis. I remember that era.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump was outside. Bethany was doing a classic walk of shame from Dennis's house, and Donald Trump said, Bethenny Frankel?
Yeah, he like started like showing people like, look, it's Bethenny Frankel. And she was like, oh, great.
Wow. So he does. So she's on his radar.
Yeah. I watched a video of someone talking shit about her take, and they were saying that they think that she pivots to her audience. And when you look at her comments, whenever she talks about anything like that, she has a lot of like MAGA comments. So I think she is like pandering to her fans.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think that she got away, like her opinions on media or whatever makes her think that she's safe from wading into like political takes. It's more like I'm just commenting on Call Her Daddy or whatever, so she feels safe in that. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think Bethenny any differently. I just think of it as part of this new era of Bethenny.
I think she's like gonna get canceled.
Well, no,
I think she's never gonna stop talking, and she's getting so inflated that something nuts is gonna happen.
I think she's cancel proof.
You do.
Remember when we were talking a year ago to the day? I think it was October 10th. You were telling me about this. When she gave the Target person, she goes, I bought a bunch of lipsticks. You
You little miscreants want my scraps.
And you said the same thing. You said,
But she's gotten worse.
I don't know.
She ends every video with, "You're welcome."
See,
You're welcome.
You know, my tolerance for Bethenny is very high. So I might be among the people who can't be swayed against her, especially just for that call her daddy take. But it's possible, but I think that she has done so much stuff in this new era, this last 2 years of the Bethenny era, that I wonder if her fans are sort of baked in at this point and they know what to expect.
I mean, she's definitely like the ultimate love to hate person. Like, I think some people straight up love her, some people straight up hate her, but I think a large contingent are like me in the middle. I mean, I formerly like straight up just loved her, but at this point I like cannot look away, but it's like almost like infuriating at times.
People hate Bethenny.
I mean,
I talk about this every time we talk about Bethenny. Why?
I watched a video of this guy that was on Beat Bobby Flay when she was a judge, and he called her a cancer.
Who did? One of
This guy.
But did he know her well?
He said he had met her 3 times and that she treated him very poorly.
I don't care when people, I do care when people treat people badly, but like, I was just thinking about this. I forget who treated somebody badly. I was just like, if you get treated badly by someone, that's the story you're going to tell for the rest of your life. Like if Dennis Quaid bumped into you at the Regency and he was rude to you for a second, you'll tell everyone in the world that Dennis Quaid was rude. But he has a million interactions every year.
I agree. I'm just like waiting for, I feel a potential storm brewing.
Okay.
And I think she thinks she's cancel proof.
Okay. I would put this to our Little Turtle Cuties Villa Rosa VIPs. Is the bee storm coming? Sorry, what would that be? Bethenny, you said storm brewing, right? Is the Bethenny storm brewing, meaning she's going to get canceled, or is hashtag Bethenny cancel proof like I say she is? Yeah. I think here's what I'll say. I think we've seen every single thing and reaction and joke and perspective that Bethenny has on everything from her 20 years of being a part of our lives, or however long it's been, that you almost can't imagine that at some point she'll do something that you're like, that is so off base from everything I knew about Bethenny that I consider her absolutely canceled. I mean, I guess you're in that spot where you're saying I love her a lot less. Now I'm like, I can take her or leave her. But for me, it's like, I think she's like shown the full range of everything about herself, unless some like wild thing comes out, like the guy on Bobby Flay.
Right.
Bobby Flay.
Yeah. She it was funny watching her talk about the Kamala stuff, because she then was like, had to be saying, but Alex Cooper is amazing and I love her and like she did a good job and she should get that opportunity, but it's up to Kamala to say I shouldn't do that or whatever. And but now Trump is saying Alex Cooper is a stupid lady.
He did?
He's like, I've been watching her over the years. Stupid woman.
Donald Trump said Alex Cooper, that's her name, from Call Her Daddy, is a stupid lady.
Yeah. At his rally.
Oh, no. Oh, well, that's horrible. I'm going to take that into consideration.
I'm like, I love that all of this bullshit, like all these figures are like in the public conversation. Like, I'm like, Haktua girl.
Right. I was like, no, I was thinking about Haktua. They just came out the Hollywood Best Under 30
God, I do
list.
not know who those people were.
That's what I was just saying. I'm like, I
knew like 3 of them.
I know. Well, obviously I felt scorned that, obviously you and I should have been in the middle of all of them, but it is interesting. Yeah. It's like a very, like, I know that there was like another like Donald Trump is also going on alternative media. He was on that guy, Andrew Schultz or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know who that person is, but they're like,
he was on like Theo Von. And, yeah.
So I think it's just more representative of how like the traditional outlets that a candidate would go on are just all changing now. And Call Her Daddy gets more views probably than 60 Minutes.
Yeah, which is why Trump won't do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you see what's his name spill the tea about Trump not coming on?
Lawrence?
Is that his name?
Bill Lawrence?
Maybe, yeah.
I'm thinking of Bill Lawrence from
no.
he made Scrubs. Let me I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
White-haired gentleman.
Yeah, he said Trump won't do it.
Yeah, he backed out and he spilled all the tea. Like he was like, up until a week before, he said he was coming.
Oh
and
my
then he
gosh.
said he could not come because we would fact check. Like, they were very upfront about
Okay.
the details.
When
which
you
were
search who that is, it just shows Jennifer Lawrence on 60 Minutes. So I can't verify who that was, but
So anyways, unprecedented times. And then speaking of the news media, my algorithm has, I think, now changed from Diddy to full on Menendez.
what do you think's going on?
Gascon, our DA,
Okay, yes.
is looking into either retrying them or what do you call that? Like redoing their sentence to voluntary manslaughter, I believe. Which would mean that their time has been served, which would
Okay.
mean that they would get out.
All right. Do we like this?
I do, and I'll stand up for it.
Okay, tell me why, because I thought I was on the fence with those two.
Because they were tried twice. The first time it was a hung jury because the jury couldn't agree.
Wow.
Because it was like men and women. The men were like, boys aren't abused, and the women were like, I feel bad for the boys. And then when they retried them, they wouldn't allow their abuse allegations to be part of the trial.
Wow.
Which is like their entire defense. And there's new evidence. There's like a letter to their cousin from like weeks before that imply abuse. There's the Menudo guy that came forward about their dad abusing him.
How old were they when they committed possibly voluntary manslaughter against
like
their parents?
18 and 20 or something.
Was there any other way they could have handled this?
Certainly it wasn't ideal. But they have been apparently the most upstanding citizens of their prison ever in humanity. They started programs.
Good.
They're like painting murals. They're like teaching people. They're like taking classes. They're
All right.
never had a single incident. So it's like if they've lived in perfect behavior for 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, what are they in there for? Like, what are we doing? What's the point?
Right. It's like they're not. Yeah. They didn't. I assume they didn't murder anyone else in there. No. And
they aren't in Arkham Asylum. There's not like madness happening.
And how many years? It's been 30 years. What did Kim Kardashian say? What was her definitive
She's
last statement?
Team Menendez all
Really?
the way. She visited them.
As long as they promise, I'll say
No
this.
more murder.
As long as they promised when they get out, they don't murder anyone else, and they've served what you said, 30
Yes.
years. 30 years. They possibly were abused by their dad
Almost
and mom.
certainly, yeah.
And mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they said both.
Yeah, and also she just like knew what was happening the whole time.
Oh, all right. Well,
it's like the most horrendous shit you've ever heard.
Well, I think it's time to officially declare it. Turtle Time supports the Menendez brothers getting out of jail. We are banging the gavel. Everyone,
just
Turtle
so you
Time
know,
is officially...
TikTok is pro Menendez.
Good. Okay, good. Well, I don't feel too wrong. I don't feel too wrong if, obviously, let me say, I reserve...
Little turtle prosecutors
Little
cover
turtle-
your ears.
But I also, this is the caveat of all caveats. I reserve the right to change my mind if I find out anything bad about them or if they do anything bad when they're out. Here,
Yeah.
This is, I know, a natural segue. Okay, so we're getting out of Menendez.
Okay. We
We officially declare them that they need to be out on the town. I don't want to say out on the prowl.
Prole. They're going to be walking down the Hollywood Walk of Fame any minute.
Yeah, well, as long as it's good behavior, like you said. But speaking of, anything else to say about the Menendez?
I was just saying that Joker, has all of his supporters that like wear clown makeup, and then in the movie,
Are they in that?
the new movie, they like are all outside the courtroom, like banging on his car, being like, "Yes, Joker!" And I'm like, that's gonna be me for the Menendez brothers.
You're gonna be
I'm
in a
gonna be like,
Menendez
"Free
mask?
the Menendez brothers."
I was just going to say, you better hope that on the jury there wasn't one of his clown constituents, because what if they said, it's a hung jury, we can't convince one of the jurors, and then in the courtroom that juror puts on one of the Joker masks and they know
I
it was
know.
him.
I did think this is like a anti-spoiler because it didn't happen, but I thought in the Joker when the jury came out that Harley Quinn would be a juror, but that didn't happen.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what if?
Imagining how that could possibly happen makes me think a lot of things. Well, speaking of good behavior, like you said, Jen Shah,
Oh, right.
wouldn't you know it? She has been on some of the, they said, this is, she's in Rikers, I guess. She's been on some of the best behavior that they've ever seen. The warden and some of the, correction officers, people around them. She's been on such good behavior that they are saying, hey, 2028, you might not have to wait that long. We're going to push you possibly. I mean, I think it's official. December 19th, 2027, unless she does anything bad.
Right.
So in
That's so far.
I know. I thought about that. Like, it is far. But I think it's been reduced, like, what, in half?
Yeah.
And now another year down. So Jen Shah, I mean, she's doing great in there. But I was going to say, I was thinking about this. How hard is it to not do what was your criminal behavior when there's no one to sort of swindle and defraud and jail with you?
Right.
Like, she was deprived of doing the one horrible criminal thing she did. So now
she's
that
like
she's
doing wire fraud from her prison laptop.
I'm saying now
She's on like eBay, like scamming people.
Well, they probably don't let her on the internet too long. But I'm just saying that, like, she got deprived of doing what she loves to do the most, which is defraud the elderly. Now she's not able to do it. So it's kind of like, well, what else am I going to do in here except do good behavior?
Right. Do like yoga and like whatever the hell
You know
she
what
was
I mean?
up to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, whatever activities, that was one of the sad things about, I was listening to one of the Menendez brothers talk, and they were saying that because of COVID, like all of the fun programs got shut down because they didn't want everyone to get sick. So like all of the stuff where you'd get to socialize or do anything good, they would just shut down because they didn't want everyone in jail to die.
I didn't even think about COVID in prison.
It's horrible. It was really bad. It was like the old folks' homes. It was like ripped through.
Oh my God.
It was like demonic. But yeah, so I'm like, if they had a book drive, a freaking like any class, I'd be like, sign me up. Like, let's go.
I would be so good in prison. If you and I, like, for some reason had to go to prison for like, I don't know, tax evasion or some like weird kind of weird like IRS thing where it's like, I don't know, some kind of tax related issue, then I would be so good in prison because I can't pickleball, book drive.
I would get ripped. I'd be like weightlifting constantly.
Would you? I know that we shouldn't speak of this, but we would have to do the thing if we're allowed to be in the same area, we would have to do the thing where we beat up the main. What are they? It's like the main like horrible person.
Like the Aryan Nation baddie.
We have to beat one of them up. That's okay. There's two of us against one. That's easy. Yeah. I was thinking maybe
they would. It's like the Menendez brothers. They would separate us and have you in San Diego and me in San Fran.
That would be awful. Wait. They're not even allowed to be together?
Like halfway through, because they were so good, they asked, I forget which one.
Well, that would be us.
What do you want? Because you get a treat for being good. And they said to be put back together.
And they let that happen?
Yeah.
Wow.
There was no reason for them to be separated. It was just to be mean.
Yeah. One last thing about the like prison brawl thing or whatever. You can really quickly go down on your go down behind one of the Aryan Nation members, like you kind of post up behind them on your hands and knees, and I'll push them over. They will never know that you're behind them.
Yeah,
so that's one way that
we'll
we
do
can
a
get
full like Home Alone, like a paint bucket on a string. Yeah. It's like the Paddington.
But we won't go to jail.
Prison.
But we won't go to jail because I think that we'll definitely, no matter what, we'll never have an issue with
the charm the judge.
IRS. So anything else news-wise? We had a lot.
Yeah.
One thing. This isn't a big deal, but I did see some sad news. I thought it was very kind of a Vanderpump Rules bummer. And it was that Kristen was on her podcast called The Balancing Act with Luke. And a listener question said, did Stassi congratulate you on your engagement, which was like, 3 weeks ago or a month ago? Yeah. Kristen got engaged to Luke. And she said, no, Stassi has not reached out. And she said that, I have just accepted that Stassi is not in my life anymore and that friends are sort of like a season in your life. And that even though I considered her once my sister, we just don't speak anymore. And you could tell that she was really sad, but she had a very good, like, she didn't say anything bad about Stassi. She had a very clear view. Like, it hurt her, but she was resigned to it and
Not even
okay
an
with it.
Instagram comment?
I'm really surprised. The thing that made me know that things were not perfect anymore, well, obviously, Kristen didn't get the invite to the wedding, which I don't even remember why that was. Was that because the Kristen and Beau stuff was really weird?
Oh, maybe.
Where Kristen was like trying to have a different relationship with Beau, and Stassi had, like, she was kind of uncomfortable with Kristen having this like relationship with Beau because of what happened with Jax. But another thing that happened was that when Stassi went on a different podcast and said that she probably wouldn't have forgiven Kristen had it not been for the show.
Right.
Do you remember when she was like, I wouldn't have tried to seek forgiveness from anyone on the Vanderpump Rules cast except for Katie had I not wanted to be back on season 4.
Yeah.
So maybe the Kristen relationship was always kind of just held together by the show. And once she was off, she was like, I don't want a person like that, in my life.
Makes sense. But yeah, it's sad. Would love to see a reunion one day. But yeah, it doesn't really make sense for them to.
Why?
I feel like Stassi lives a totally different kind of life now. She's like totally keyed into her family life, and Kristen's still like yucking it up on the valley.
No, I say the opposite. Let Kristen come over. Kristen has changed so. I mean, we say it all the time. The edit that Kristen got on Vanderpump Rules is a total villain edit, starting with season 3. Like, they make her look so much worse than I think she actually was. And I know that she did an unspeakable thing, and maybe we don't know the full history of what Kristen was doing behind the scenes, but I think that when someone loves you that much and they want to make it work and you have so much shared history, I don't know. I would try to accept them back into your life unless there's something like just so horrible that we don't know that Kristen did. But that was like, the season 2 thing. If she's using that against her still, I mean, that's like a full different person. That's like 15 years ago.
Maybe Stassi's just not into it.
Yeah. All right. So you say kick Kristen to the curb, and I say forgive
Don't force
Kristen.
it.
Yeah, all right. That's it. Let's we're divided, but maybe Little Turtle Cuties or Villas of VIPs. Let us know. Should Stassi forgive Kristen, or should Stassi say, no, I don't want you in my life anymore, Kristen?
Yeah, sad, but I am looking forward to the Valley. I feel like with every turn, I did see that Jax and Sandoval apparently are closer than ever right now.
I saw that too. Jax said Sandoval calls me every single day to check in on me and make sure that I'm okay. What else did he say?
He said they talk all the time, and I mean, it makes sense. They both are like in the pits.
Sandoval was always a good friend of Jax.
Yeah.
It was Jax that had a odd expectation
shocker
for what he
that
wanted.
he needs him now, even though he treated him like absolute dog shit during Scandival.
Yeah,
like he was like, everyone hates you, you're a loser.
Yeah. Jax. I mean, it took Jax a long time to realize that Sandoval was always in his corner and treating him well. What is going on? I mean, we haven't talked about it in a while, and I'll just end with the news segment because we've talked for almost 40 minutes. But what the hell is going on with Vanderpump Rules? It's October, so. If they started now, no matter what, that we'll be watching a Christmas special of Vanderpump Rules.
Right.
If they start anytime before Christmas, we will see Christmas on Vanderpump Rules, which is almost too shocking to imagine. That Lisa and Ken getting out the Christmas tree, wrapping presents for each other, them going over and drinking hot toddies and wearing sweaters potentially in the Valley. Like, I cannot.
Maybe it will just be a Christmas special. Ken as Santa Claus.
A 2-hour special, a Vanderpump Rules Christmas special, a very merry Vanderpump
Christmas
Rules
spectacular.
I think that would be a wonderful, if they were thinking about the end of Vanderpump Rules, why not end it with one of the best holidays where so much cheer and mirth and what else happens at Christmas? Like gift giving.
Sponsored by Kyle Chan.
Kyle Chan probably loves Christmas so much because he has ample gifts to give everyone, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a nice way to also have gifts be presented. Is have Kyle Chan knock on everybody's door to give them a little Christmas gift. But really though, that last question, they were filming in Vanderpump Rules. We already talked about this, where they were apparently, they don't want to tell us what they were doing, but they were filming like potentially looking for either new cast members for a spinoff that actually worked at SUR, or seeing if any of these cast members had enough merit to potentially go on Vanderpump Rules, sort of like a redo of season 8. But the fact that it hasn't started yet and there's no word in October. I mean, it's going to be October 11th.
Like no public announcement of any kind.
This is way later than I thought. When they said we're giving them the summer to regroup and create new stories, I had no idea.
I had heard, I'll keep it vague because I don't know, but I heard it's going to be petite season.
I'm going to let that just sit. You said petite season, which means you heard this?
I heard
from a trusted source.
Yeah, Deep Throat.
The same trusted source that we went into that Target parking garage and learned about that this might be the last season. So by petite season you mean shortened
as hell?
Like a what? Like an 8-episode season? I'm glad you're telling me this for the first time. You had this
I just remembered.
Up your sleeves. So you met with Deep Throat by yourself. What? Truncated half season?
Small. I don't know if, I assume they'll have to see what they have,
Wait. What do you mean?
Or what they'll get?
Wait, I don't understand. I know you're being vague, but what? Wait, so they haven't filmed yet. They're going to film.
I thought we knew that they did film.
No, they filmed at SUR. They only filmed like a backdoor pilot or something.
Okay.
Or a testing ground like I said, to potentially see if any of these cast members that are working at SUR or servers would be good to be in Vanderpump Rules or possibly a spinoff. I don't think we know how that is going to be used in the Vanderpump Rules universe. I don't think any of the actual Vanderpump Rules cast members have filmed anything, right?
I see.
We would have found out.
Right. Yeah. I'll have to confirm with Deep Throat.
Okay.
But yeah, I heard that either the plan or anticipation was that it was going to be fewer episodes than usual.
Okay. well, that is it. I mean, that is wild and something to think about for sure. I mean, no matter what happens, we're in uncharted territory. If we're watching Halloween on Vanderpump Rules and Thanksgiving and Christmas, I mean, we'll know that hell has frozen over.
Right. Yeah, it's wild times. I'm like, I really don't know what the future holds, but we'll still have Southern Charm and Summer House.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, of course. We do have those. And we have these wonderful shows that are airing now. RHONY.
Yeah, I know. As we transitioned to RHONY, we were talking before about how Mary Cosby was on Watch What Happens last night. And she straight up said to Andy's face that she tried to watch RHONY and the new RHONY and she fell asleep.
And I asked you this already, but I'm going to verify again. She meant she watched last season of RHONY, season 14. She wasn't denigrating seasons 1 through 13.
No, I think she even potentially meant the premiere from last week.
That she was watching it and she fell asleep.
Yeah.
How could she have fallen asleep during that premiere? Yeah, that was bad. Andy, he didn't make a big deal of it, but you could tell he was a little shocked that she said something like that.
We've been sending some memes back and forth where I'll say it, we cannot be bought at Turtle Time. Our desire to be the bartender will not stop us from being honest. But some of these accounts out there, it's giving full payola.
Yeah.
The memes pretending that anything that happened on RHONY is memeable is a joke.
And people laugh at it when you see these memes touting, trying to make something of the new season of RHONY. You know that there's no real fervor behind it. It's so artificial trying to make these Bryn moments iconic. It's just it's not there. And so I've seen that too. I'm like, but. Well, I haven't seen a lot. I only saw one account, which I don't want to call them out by name, but I did see one account where it was very clearly what the hell are you talking about?
I know we were both like, is there a sponsored tag? It was giving so forced that I was like, is there money being exchanged?
Yes. But have we established that you can still be sort of negative about some of the Bravo content, but then be almost 80% positive about everything else, and you still get that coveted
we're not
spot?
haters. I will change my opinion when the show gets better.
And it's not just you and I, right? I mean, I think we should take a certified turtle piss break before we get into RHONY.
Yeah.
I would love one, but I was wondering, I'm like, when I watch Salt Lake City, all of a sudden a smile comes on my face and I go, I'm in good hands. I like being with this cast. You said it. I watched Potomac. You watched Potomac, the premiere.
Yeah.
And I was like, it feels like reassuring.
Totally.
I'm like, they're
felt like old times.
they're fun, they're funny, they can do almost anything in any setting, and I'm like, there was merit there. Are we too harsh on RHONY? Is the discrepancy between RHONY and Salt Lake City negligible to where Andy Cohen has plausible deniability to say this is iconic because it's within the realm of great shows, or are we rightfully viewing this as a slog and boring, and none of the cast members are dynamic enough to warrant our attention?
Yeah. I need a think piece. I think we talked about it last week. I think the women are too aware.
Yes.
Too self-aware, which honestly, I kind of felt that way in early Salt Lake, at least like Jen Shah, of course, and maybe even the others. It took me like 2+ seasons to get into Salt Lake, which obviously they had the great benefit of a huge scandal to hook me and everyone else.
Yeah.
So like that's part of it. But I do think that the cast sort of got their bearings. So that could, again, like we said, happen with New York. But yeah, I just think they're so like scared to say anything that is too revealing.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be funny when they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have too much what do you call that? Chemistry.
Yeah. yeah. They don't have any chemistry, and they don't hang out off camera at all.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, like this week the main feud, I guess, is Aaron and Brynn, and I'm like, you guys don't like each other. Like, this isn't fun.
Yeah, well, maybe we should. I mean, I don't, you know, we've already talked about half of what we wanted to say about RHONY. I mean, maybe we could just go into it and then talk about Salt Lake City. But yeah, I felt the same way. The scene where Jenna and Sai are talking, another example of it, like they do not like each other at all.
It was so boring.
Jenna, yeah, it's a boring conversation. Jenna doesn't like Sai, or she's fine with Sai, but she's never gonna enjoy Sai. Why would she?
Yeah.
You know, they like Sai's been talking shit about her nonstop,
Yeah.
and then Sai doesn't like Jenna. She wrote everyone and told anyone who would listen that she just does not like Jenna.
Yeah.
So and then they're having this sit down, which it's like these are two people that don't want to be in a scene together and don't like each other at all, talking about how they're going to deal with another cast member that also has these same issues that nobody truly likes or you know.
I know, it felt very forced. Did you see that apparently Shannon Bedore's daughter walked past this scene being filmed? Someone like compared it whenever this was, like 6 months ago or however long ago. I don't remember which of Shannon's, the one that lives in New York, posted a photo of like that feeling when you stumble into RHONY filming, and it was this scene with Jenna and Sai, and someone was like posted, I can't focus on their conversation because I'm looking for little Bedore in the background.
The one who wanted to go to Carbone in last week's OC, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
So, but yeah, we got in that conversation the discovery that Brynn so that's, again, they keep having to show us old texts where people are bitches because they won't just say this crazy stuff on camera. So apparently Brynn off camera described herself as carbon monoxide, in that like she'll kill you without you realizing.
She says she's completely odorless. There's no stench at all to me. So
unlike Jenna.
So while you're sleeping, unlike Jenna, who has BO when she goes furniture shopping, she was like, yeah, I am stenchless completely, just like carbon monoxide. And so while you sleep, I slowly kill you. But also, that to me wasn't so remarkably different than the kind of shit that Brynn says on camera.
Right.
I mean, right?
I know. I mean, Aaron brings it up again later. They really wanted to
let us
make
know
it a
that
thing.
That's what Brynn says.
Like she's savage behind the curtain.
I guess. Yeah, they had to tell us that. I wanted to tell you, so there was the Jenna and Sai, which I was just like, all that was to talk about Sai and Brynn's relationship, because Brynn has written off Sai because Sai because Sai told Brynn about the Uba's relationship with a
right.
Connecticut person, and then I talked about this last week, but Brynn knew that Sai was easy to write off because she's the least favorite cast member, so she just ruined her relationship with Sai, and now Sai kind of wants to get her relationship back with Brynn because Sai is kind of on an island in this cast. Everyone knows that if they were going to make cast changes, Sai is on the chopping block.
Right.
So it's Sai who has to sort of make amends to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if you think about it, the only people that we're made to believe are actually friends are Aaron and Uba, which I'm sorry, like their friendship is not entertaining to me at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. I do believe that is the one real one.
Yeah.
Uba says in this episode that Erin, when she found out her mom's diagnosis, that she had to get chemotherapy, which was a step above what they thought. It was worse than they all thought. She did call Uba, so I'm like, okay, yes, this is an established relationship. You guys are a real friendship dynamic, but you're right. It's unfortunately not a very engaging friendship to watch of the one authentic.
No, they really get a kick out of each other, and I don't.
Right. Yeah, so there's that. We kind of talked about Aaron and Bryn's argument. This was a scene that I felt kind of represents what's wrong with RHONY, where Brynn is upset with Aaron. Brynn is upset with Aaron because of what Aaron said on the Jeff Lewis podcast 8 months ago.
Right.
We found out that Brynn actually had forgiven Aaron for this. And then Brynn says Jenna Lyons was the one who said, "How the hell did you forgive her so easily? She was talking so much shit about you. You should have never forgiven her," which I'm like, that absolutely did not happen. There is no way. It doesn't sound like Jenna at all. I don't think Jenna gave a shit about this. So then I was also like, wait, so Brynn, you forgave Aaron about this 8 months ago, and then you just brought it up on camera immediately, so you had something to fight about. Like, this has already been resolved within the friend group.
Yeah. And then I guess it just blew up at that drinks they were at last week, so then they were mad at each other again. But Aaron seems like, despite the fact that she sort of was sassy last week, was willing to apologize again in person. But Brynn was like, wouldn't give her an inch. She did her stupid shtick about pouring the tap water instead of Evian.
You didn't think that was iconic?
I'm like, New York City has the best tap water in the world. Okay, first of all.
It's from the Adirondacks, I think.
Like, everyone knows that you can drink New York tap water perfectly.
Yeah, I didn't think that. And also, she had to, like, say it out loud to camera
she,
so that we
took
knew.
the Evian out of... I'm like, you just have Evian in your cabinet? And then she was like, actually, no.
Yeah.
She doesn't deserve Evian. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then sad that she withheld the dog from her. She was like, you don't deserve puppy time. But yeah, their whole back and forth, like, I feel like Brynn is always like, I guess you would call her the most clever of the group, but
clever?
Like, she is always trying to, like, do a reference, a turn of phrase. Like, she's trying to be Bethenny, but it's like,
she's the producer surrogate.
Yeah.
Producer, she thinks she's the producer surrogate of the show to keep things spinning.
Although I'm surprised that if she was wearing a producer hat that she didn't give more empathy to Aaron, because I feel like she came off very poorly in this conversation.
So what I think is happening is, and this is representative of all of the relationships on the show, is that everyone on the show knows that everyone is faking what they actually feel. So Brynn is faking that she cares about the Jeff Lewis thing.
Yeah.
She doesn't. Aaron is faking whatever the initial conversation she wanted to have with Brynn. Because when Aaron says, "My heart was broken to have you tell Jenna that I said Jenna was poor," Brynn goes, "Your heart was broken?" It's like they both know that they're playing this up on camera, so they don't believe each other. So it makes all their interactions really awkward and uncomfortable but they both know they're playing a game and filming a scene. And then when Aaron brings it to the level that you're talking about, when she goes, "Brynn, did you forget? My mom is going through chemotherapy right now. You must know this."
Yeah.
And then Brynn's like, "Oh shit, we're having that scene. Sorry, I thought I was just going to be doing my shitty scene where we lie about Jeff Lewis and you lie about the Jenna Poor thing. Now you just brought it to a real level and I wasn't prepared for that. Mm-hmm. So obviously everything I did up to this point makes no sense. You would have never treated Aaron like that had you taken into account what Erin is going through with her mom.
Right.
And she knew
but
it.
she doesn't change her tune once that subject comes up. She doesn't even like reach over at any point.
Because it would ruin the scene that Bryn was trying to have. The hard-hearted, I'm withdrawn from Erin. She's treated me so bad. They're both acting.
Yeah.
They're both acting, and they're the two. I think they're the two most actory. So their scenes are the worst scenes, in my opinion. Even Sai and Jenna, I enjoyed it more because Jenna, like you said, they're all so entrenched in housewives lore and tropes that they know how to behave as housewives. Jenna doesn't. She's never watched this shit ever. So that's why she talks about having BO, and she's not great in these scenes, which makes them more interesting because she's not navigating them in a certain way that we're accustomed to as Bravo fans. But yeah, so I thought I thought the Bryn and Erin scene was just such a dud for 10 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, agreed. And then we got a quick Jenna with her son and her friend and her assistant. Right. And for some reason, her friend, I couldn't tell which one was her friend and which one was the assistant.
I think it was her assistant.
Was like hanging all over her son the whole time.
So I wanted to talk about this. I don't know if I'm like, you thought the same thing.
It was weird.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if it's too much to parse, but when they show up to rock climbing, I'm just like, what's going on here? Because her son, what's her son's name?
Beckett.
Beckton. Beckett.
Brexit.
Brexit. Brexit, which unfortunate because Jenna didn't know when she named him, obviously, that Brexit was going to happen. He was 18 years ago, but yeah, Brexit is hanging all over his girlfriend. I was like, okay, wow, he brought his girlfriend and a friend rock climbing, and then their arms, their fingers were intertwined, and they said Jenna's assistant. Then I was like, oh, okay, wait, Jenna's assistant is the one on the left hand side.
They needed to put both up because I still don't know which. And then
they went to rock climbing, and the other friend who looks exactly like the assistant, or I don't know if they look exactly alike, but it goes Heather, Jenna's friend. And I was like, so which one is Brexit hanging on and holding? And then it was like, was that just the feeling you get when you go rock climbing? You hold your assistant, your mom's assistant for a long time?
Yeah, but then when Jenna was climbing, it turned to them again and they were like embracing.
Why wouldn't they just admit is Brexit? Whoa, I don't know.
That woman was like 30 plus years old.
So does it mean anything? I thought I was being too like
I wrote
prudish.
Down extremely touchy with friend.
I thought I was being like
when it did it the second time, I was like, "What the hell?"
That's the second time clinched it for me because I was like,
weird.
This wasn't just rock climbing energy where you go in, you're really excited because also the fingers intertwined. I was like, I can imagine being my mom's friend and hanging on my mom's assistant. Like that has happened a million times before. But then the hand twines. And then the inside, they both huddled over Jenna and hugged her together. And they were both hugging. Like she was jumping up on his back, up and down. And I was like, what? You need to clarify. Those chyrons, you have a scene like that, the chyrons have to say more.
Yeah.
Jenna's assistant who Brexit enjoys touching or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like raised him from a small child or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah, like it needed the confessional, like, so Brexit seems really friendly with your assistant. And then Jenna could be like, yeah, like, you know, he loves her.
He loves her so much and she really loves him.
It was giving May December.
Yeah, it was totally. I didn't know how old. I didn't want to speculate how old Jenna's assistant was. I just for sure thought it was Brexit and his two friends are bringing his mom to rock climbing. And then when the chyrons they didn't clarify.
Yeah.
So I needed
the reason that I thought it was her friend rather than her assistant is because the person that was the assistant that was on the left looked less stylish. Like
right.
It looked like, you know, like the assistant sometimes is like a little bit fish out of water because they're just there to work, not because they're like in the group. Whereas this woman looked like kind of
the one that Brexit was on.
Yes.
So Brexit, maybe it said Jenna's friend because
she was,
Brexit
like,
didn't want to make it official. Brexit's not, or maybe Brexit and Heather. I think her name was Heather. Was that?
I don't know.
Didn't want to make it. You know,
She was much older.
Do we know that for a fact?
I mean, she's not 18.
All right, well, let us know what you all thought. I mean, nobody's watching RHONY, I don't think.
We're definitely going to put that in the roundup.
Yeah. But more about this rock climbing scene. So I'm trying to think if this is indicative of what's wrong with RHONY as well. The scene wasn't very entertaining.
No.
And I don't think it's Jenna Lyons' fault. It's just, well, I mean, I guess it kind of is. But it wasn't very entertaining. I was sort of interested in the college stuff.
They didn't know the difference between Northeastern and Northwestern.
Right. And
She also mistook what school? She was like, oh, that's the school she...
Yeah, she was like, you wanted to go to someone wants to go to Northeastern, and I realized you wanted to go to Northwestern. He goes, if Northeastern is anything like Northwestern, sign
Count
me
me
up.
in.
I was like,
And then she was like, what about Cal Poly? He was like, definitely down with that.
it was a odd cover. I don't think, I mean, he's a kid, so it's like, he doesn't know what the hell
Jimmy
he's
went to
talking about.
Northeastern.
He did?
He did.
Northeastern?
It's the only reason I know what it is. It's in Boston.
If that's anything
versus
like
Chicago.
If that's anything like Northwestern, I know that's amazing. That's wow. So good. So yeah, and she was like, Jenna goes, I want him to go as far away as California.
Yeah. I liked that. I
yeah.
like when moms are like, please leave.
Yeah.
Like, do your own thing.
Yeah. And she said that, she wants him to see the world outside of the Big Apple.
Yeah. That was nice.
We didn't talk about, I wanted to say, we didn't talk about how this is such a pre-Eric Adams scandal in New York. It's like, we're waiting. They're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
We should find which of them have photos with him.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Probably Aaron and Abe.
Yeah. Maybe Pavitt.
Pavitt for sure. With his food exploration in New York City, Eric Adams would have absolutely loved that. But yeah, I'm watching this knowing like, oh God, they don't know. What's going to happen.
He probably was on a Turkish Airlines flight getting his points with Eric Adams.
Yeah. Dude, we already talked about this, right? They gave him unlimited films to watch, unlimited credits on Turkish Airlines.
Yeah, I heard that he would fly completely out of the way. He'd be like, does Turkish Air go to Hawaii?
Yeah, and they'd be like, yes, sir. And they would do that. It's you got to look up the Eric Adams stuff. And New Yorkers, I am so sorry for what you all are going through. That is rough.
What did you think about the Bentley flex?
Yeah.
Do you think that was her directly producing a comeback from her jalopy breaking down? It felt that way.
I think it was.
Also like, I assume she leases that car to great expense.
Me too. It was called the Flying Spur Edition. It was like that one.
$200,000.
I thought it was odd time to bring your new car. Like
they're like, it's here.
It's going to pick us up from rock climbing. So maybe she was trying to flaunt her wealth, contrary to what Aaron was leading us to believe.
It was giving Sandoval Secrets Revealed showing up in a Bentley or a Rolls to that
so odd.
housing, that home tour or whatever.
Can I tell you something really quick? I think Vanderpump Rules just put out their Secrets Revealed episode really late. I got a notification on my phone. It said there's a brand new episode of Vanderpump Rules to watch.
What?
Yeah, so I think we got to watch that. We'll watch it later, but I just saw something wild. Okay.
Like months and months late?
Something is wrong.
Or it wasn't on Peacock before, maybe?
I think so. Something is wrong. Well, right. Maybe it was that. Or maybe they made it an extended edition. But anyway, sorry about that segue. But I think Jenna also thinks that these franchises are about displaying lavish wealth, which is my least favorite aspect of all the Housewives franchises. And I don't blink an eye for 1 second when anybody does anything wealth related. But maybe she thinks, oh, is this a facet of cast members on these shows? Well, look at me. I'm going to take a flying spur out of the town. La-di-da.
I like it when it leads to financial crimes and bankruptcy.
Me too, of course.
Which, like when Dorit got the Bentley or whatever for her birthday from PK, you're like, you guys are fucked.
Yeah. So I don't find, okay. Yeah, if it's like, I don't know, but I just don't get titillated by wealth at all in any way. So that didn't do anything for me, and it didn't add a new layer to Jenna Lyons' personality by her getting that. Yeah.
Okay, now we get Aaron and Abe, which is probably the juiciest part in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, good.
Because it was like real.
Well, let me say my shitty take first, and then you, so at first I did kind of like it because I was like, it's real, but the way Aaron touted this, I was already looking back, and she used words like betrayal. She cried at the beginning saying, I wish he was with me, but he did unspeakable acts. I really felt like she was at least a tiny bit hyping up what this reveal was going to be,
Right.
by making it seem like it was infidelity, or
Sure.
that he had been DMing a Bravo
Ashley
fan account,
Madison.
Ashley, or that he was going to be on the Ashley Madison leak or something. So when she said the B word, Bitcoin, it kind of really nullified the impact, because I consider Bitcoin. Okay, so here's what happens for people who are not watching RHONY. Erin goes, "I was betrayed, the ultimate betrayal." Then she sits down and she goes, "Wouldn't you know it? I went into our Coinbase account and you sold our entire
sold all our apes."
full." They had Bitcoins, they had Skunk Ape coin, they had Dogecoin. I don't know any more Bitcoins. They had
RHONY coin.
She goes, they had RHONY coin when they were betting on RHONY coin exploding after
Can we make that?
RHONY coin? Of course we can. You can do anything.
How do you make a coin?
You can do anything. They have every coin. So this Bitcoin stuff, I'm like, I read the best book I've ever read in my life. It's called The Infinite, I think, by Michael Lewis, and it's about how Bitcoin is absolutely just completely fake in every way. It's a complete. I love it, and I think money is fake in general. So it's just as fake as money, except money. I like using.
Can hold it in your hand.
I love the money, that physical money, but Bitcoin is just as shitty and stupid as money. So this kind of was undercut by the silliness of it, and I don't really believe that this happened as she says it happened. I logged into Coinbase. I wanted to check on our Ethereum. I wanted to check on whatever. And then I found out you sold our entire Bitcoin to pay for this handbag line that they went bankrupt on.
Right.
And
And she said it was years before, that it had been empty for years.
And isn't this a good thing that you guys had this silly money that Abe probably bought on a whim in 2016 and it got to $10,000 and he goes, "Oh, that's great to pay off our debt. I'm going to log in."
I have a feeling it was a lot.
I bet it was. Well, maybe. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Abe does seem like he was a Bitcoin guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Well, that's why I thought it was juicy. Like, I laughed that it was Bitcoin, but I'm also like, that is what these people are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that is interesting.
I liked that it was contemporary. I liked that it was the first Bitcoin storyline in
true.
Bravo
I think so.
history. But I don't.
She said it was, I liked that. I feel like she will never usually tell us shit, but she was willing to sell Abe up the river.
That's
which to me is like, they're going to get a divorce.
Oh, really? No. I think the exact opposite. I think this was agreed upon. I think Abe was fine. This story on the Q score knocks him down 1 point out of the 100 points that is available to a cast member. They knew that this wasn't going to register like that majorly. And I think that she's purposefully adding more details to it to make it seem worse than what it actually was, which is that he is looking at all of his accounting. He considers Bitcoin just unearned money that he made from one financial decision back in the day, spending $1,000. He had $20,000 and he used it for something that.
But it sounded like he had a secondary shady thing going on. So like he took money that was theirs between them and cashed it out. And then she's like, and this isn't the first time you've done this, because she had her whatever shitty handbag line that failed. And she thought that he had taken care of all of that business, but it turned out they had a massive amount of debt that he had never taken care of, that they were just carrying. So it sounds like he just like never tells her anything about his wheelings and dealings, which he said in his confessional that he didn't want to add to her stress, which is total bullshit.
All right. I think, you sway me for sure. Like, it could be much worse than we're thinking. And Abe does, he's like doing some weird financial stuff. But I thought that it was a safe storyline for Erin. Like how you were saying that these cast members don't want to actually go low because they don't want their lives shattered by this show. I felt like this was like, like a level 2 out of 5 of what Erin was ready to bring on the show. She felt like it was easy to bring to the show because it wasn't actually going to shatter their relationship at all. But it could get much worse. Maybe Abe has been doing much like odder stuff with their money. Yeah. But it seemed like it's when she was talking about it, the last week and this week, it really sounded like he had done something so awful that it ruined their relationship during a time when she really needed him.
Mhm.
And then when it turned out that he had sold possibly $50,000 of Bitcoin to pay for, I mean, a debt that she should know about and be fully aware of.
Right.
And that, I don't know, wouldn't you want that?
It's the classic housewives not asking your husband any questions about the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like she kind of hates him. And like when she added in, she's like, before I met you, I used to get flown around the world without even fucking the guys.
Yeah.
I was like, huh?
She said, she goes, I used to go on Turkish Airlines all the time. And she winked
For
at
free.
Abe. I was like, what
With
the hell?
Eric Adams.
I was like, what the hell are you trying to say? What was her history? This is going to be so horrible if I am not right, but last season she already talked about this aspect of her life, right? Like she was like, she talked about being in not the mayor's office, but like the governor.
Oh.
You remember? That was her,
was that
right?
her?
She was like,
At never have I ever.
She was like, I know the inside and out of the governor's mansion or something. Remember?
Her? Because
It wasn't Brand.
She winked to a who in this conversation. She was like, I used to be flown around by like she kind of like did a little like
You know who it is? Do you remember that Spitzer?
You think
It's Spitzer. Let me see. Elliot Spitzer. I think it's Elliot Spitzer. Elliot Spitzer. We'll look into this.
Or Wiener.
Possibly Wiener. I don't know if Wiener ever fully cheated.
Huda be damned. Is that her name? His wife?
I'd have to check on that. I think it. I don't know. We'll look into that.
Giuliani.
I think it's possibly either Giuliani, Spitzer, or Anthony Weiner. Who, right? It has to be. Anyway, so I think she was alluding to that past that I remember sort of from season 14.
Right.
And Abe said, well, why do you think I sold our Bitcoin? Because I'm used to hearing these lavish stories about you and Spitzer,
right.
which we have to say allegedly, I think, right? Spitzer
right.
is litigious.
He was like, I'm self-conscious about maintaining her lifestyle. I don't know. I could just picture them breaking up, but that's always true with anyone on Housewives automatically.
Oh, and I want to get the Bitcoins thing I said right. The book is called Going Infinite by Michael Lewis, who wrote The Blind Side. He's an amazing author, and he wrote the definitive book on Bitcoin. If you ever had questions about Bitcoin, he wrote all about it. It's one of the best books I've ever read.
Cool.
So I just want to recommend it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And then, Uba and Sai go shopping. It's boring. Uba just opens up that she's getting very serious with that boyfriend of hers.
Sai was trying to make a scene happen here with Uba. I noticed she was going, what's going on? And Uba was like, nothing. And Sai goes, they sort of shop more.
You
and
don't seem like your happy self.
Yeah, and she goes, oh, yeah, there's flooding in my house. And Sai goes, okay. She goes, anything else? And then she goes, and then Uba goes, finally, Uba, like, I think Sai was like, come on, say something about the show. Uba goes, oh, yeah, I don't like when Bryn says the wrong stories about stuff. And Sai goes, thank you.
Yeah.
that really was what it felt like. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this might be do you want to skip to the end?
Helicopter, which, by the way, did you notice that in Aaron and Bryn's scene, Bryn was wearing a Blade baseball cap?
She was?
Yep.
In the scene with Aaron and Bryn at the start of the episode,
Yep.
she was already bladed out with Blade merchandise. So
because I've noticed it, because I was like, I feel like her baseball cap game is giving kind of like pick me.
Oh.
Like she's like, I just like have this hat. And then I was like, wait, is it Spawn because she did a deal with Blade to have them featured on the show? Or did she get that hat for free for riding on the helicopter and then that was just out of order?
Here's what I'll say. First of all, you can't rule out that it's about the Marvel Blade movie. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson.
I think so. I've never seen him.
I don't know if I have either, but I saw when he died that people kept saying he's in Blade.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so sad. We never said rest in peace to him.
Yeah.
So
no, it was the same logo.
I think what was? Oh, I'm sorry. So it was Blade. I think you hit the nail on the head of your second theory, which was
out of
this
order.
is no. Sorry, I don't think it was out of order. Sorry, your first theory. I think it was paid by Blade. This is a full sponsorship. Bryn got a Blade sponsorship, and that's why they were touting Blade so much. So this had a lot of things I don't like. A lot of them. First of all, it was a kind of an unnecessary helicopter ride, and it sounded like a lot of the cast was worried about going on a helicopter in a very cloudy
Hashtag Kobe.
I thought the exact same thing. Bryn tries to make fun of Sai for saying, sorry, I'm not going to fly in a helicopter in the clouds. I was like, I would be saying that absolutely.
I kind of love that everyone just opted out of her thing.
And it was a mess. It sounded like the producers sent like the call sheet and it had a bunch of wrong information because Jen was like, wait, you didn't know? I got sent the call sheet that I'm a self-drive to Hamptons. And Bryn said, Blade helicopter ride. Like no one, it really felt like a messy scene.
Yeah, like Jenna, it felt like fourth wall breaking where she was like, I thought someone would tell you. And Bryn was like, no, one of your 10 assistants didn't tell us. And I'm like, she means production.
Yeah, and then they're like, Raquel's not going. They're like, I didn't even think Raquel was going on this trip.
Yeah, they're like, I forgot she exists.
Yeah, and then so it felt messy, like a messy scene, like that no one knew what was going on. And even Jessel was like, wait, Jenna's lying. She's joking. She's definitely riding that flying spur to get to us. And I was like, no, I'm actually not coming on this helicopter ride. So you can tell like Bryn's scene already got hindered. It's
so flop. It's Bryn, Jessel, and Becky Minkoff. Like it's like that she's like, fuck.
Yeah, it's a total bummer. And they spend the scene going like, where is this person? Where is this person? Why did that Blade thing when she goes, Jessel, that's you. And it said, get fucked, Blade heads or whatever.
Let's Blade skanks. She was like, is it okay if it says skanks? As if it was like
she
real...
put that there.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see. Oh, so I thought Blade was sort of tongue-in-cheek. And
she asked and she was like, is it okay if it says skanks? They're like, whatever you want, miss.
Wait.
Like as if it was like a real like air traffic control sign.
I'm sorry. I watched this episode twice. I didn't see that she did
You could tell the women that worked there hated all of them.
Yeah.
Like when she asked that, she was like, if you want. And then when Jessel came in and like couldn't put her umbrella down for some reason, the woman was like, what is wrong with you? Like just enter the building.
She goes, collapse your umbrella, please, for Jessel to get in. Also, Bryn still kind of makes fun of Jessel like she did last season. And
she said she had shit taste last week.
And she goes, this is Jessel to a T, her falling all over herself in that outfit, like slipping and sliding out on that thing. Yeah, she's really mean to Jessel, which I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
And then they get on the helicopter. Bryn's like, oh my, this scene is completely horrendous. I'm just going to go all in with the only thing I know about Rebecca Minkoff right at the start of when we sit down. We haven't even put our gold seatbelts on. And she goes, Becky, what am I supposed? She handles this so badly because she's like talking under her breath, like as if this is not going to be a scene, and also does a fourth wall break immediately, being like, how should I handle this when the press keeps asking me about your relationship to Scientology?
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't think anyone else, any other cast member in the Bravo universe would have handled it like this. They would have said, I heard you're a Scientologist. Do you want to talk about that with me?
Right.
She immediately goes for the fourth wall break about the press and about the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The fan sites that we were talking about, one of them was like, so iconic to wait until they're in a helicopter to ask no escape.
Oh my God. And I didn't say the thing where they also were, this same account, which God damn, we can't talk this much shit, but they were also like, Jenna's wealth is so powerful. Look at her in that flying spur. It's like, that's the kind of shit that you rally behind, that someone just bought a car.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she frames it badly. Anyone else would have said, I heard you're a Scientologist. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Right.
Tell me, like, as if we're in a scene.
Like, were you born into it? Like, what do you love about it?
Also,
like,
the blades are whirring so that you can't even hear, and there's also turbulence, and everyone is scared because they think this blade helicopter.
I know,
no offense,
it felt very ham-fisted, and then she just shuts it down immediately. She just goes, "Say no comment."
Yeah, and then she goes, "Well, is no comment? You mean no comment? Like, that's not how I'm a PR person, and that's not how." Didn't she do the PR for BP oil spill?
Yes. That's iconic.
I mean, that's true, right? That just flashed my brain.
Like the company that, yes.
It was,
it's like on her like LinkedIn.
PR nightmare.
Worst case scenario.
To be a PR person when the BP oil spill happened, that had to be like.
I think I would step down.
I would
that
try
account.
to go. I would try to go. What do you mean?
I would go work at Dawn Soap.
Oh, because
that's their time to shine.
because they famously were getting in there and using the Dawn soap on the top
the
of that
little
oil.
animals.
Oh my God, the BP oil spill. Well, she goes, this is not how you deflame the speculation. I was like, yeah, it is. If she's like never talked about it.
Yeah.
And also when she said these sources or everyone is reporting on this, it said Us Weekly, which, and then it said realityt.com,
wow.
which no offense to them, but using that as one of the sites that are buzzing about her religion is,
Right.
you wouldn't put reality T in there
Right.
as an example of the
But
press.
then she brought up herself that she's like, I just got an email from Daily Mail this morning.
Right.
And she basically, all she has to say about it in her confessional is that it's a world recognized religion.
True.
Which I guess you can't argue with that.
It's true.
Oh my gosh, I meant to send you on my way out the door today. I won't dox anyone, but I don't know if I brought this up, but I get mail from a former person, whoever lived in my building before was a Scientologist. So I get their mail and look at what their newest marketing is.
Oh my God. Everyone has to see this. We'll put it up as one of our photos on our photo reel and YouTube. You can maybe see it if you really use your eyes. It says, Uncle Sam will help you. They have the most classic Uncle Sam I've ever seen. Uncle Sam will help you get up the bridge. Contact your Aola Bridge consultant today. Wait, so that means that what? You can get tax help to get up the bridge to become OT level?
I don't know if it's just
1 or
like
2?
a patriotic message. But yeah, it's the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles.
What's it called when Scientologists when they is it called
Going clear?
bust? No,
Oh.
of course that. But when they go bust or something when they it's when they like bust out or whatever. I think that
I see.
Yeah. So wow, that is very
Yeah, I never open any of the stuff. I just look at the marketing materials from the outside, but I am tempted to take a look at this pamphlet to see why Uncle Sam is involved.
This is like scary, and I don't even want to say this, but like you're gonna get those squirrel busters because they're gonna be going. They're gonna say, "Where did that Uncle Sam mailer go?" We're not supposed to
I got
see that.
2 of them.
You're not supposed to see that kind of
I know.
stuff.
I love it.
So I mean, you're lucky. I mean,
I
that's
shouldn't
very-
even be talking about it here.
No, I know. So, but no one knows where you live. But I would be worried about those squirrel busters. So don't let them come in. You have to just say, I'm not the person that you're trying to send that mail to.
No.
But I have to ask about this. Okay. So I know that Scientology as a religion, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. It's inherently interesting because it's a religion that everybody knows about. But like, what do they expect her to do with this?
Right.
And is it really just I guess it is a pure negative. It's like Paul Haggis was a Scientologist. It's like they know that they do horrible shit. Like they make, that billion-year contract that we signed when we started Turtle Time. It's like they do that. They have horrible practices. Ethically, it's bad, I guess. You have to account for that. But I'm just wondering, like, what Brandon is just doing this to make Rebecca Minkoff look bad immediately, right? For a storyline.
Right. To like haze her. Yeah, because unless there are very few Scientologists that are willing, I feel like it's like part of the creed. I feel like Tom Cruise during that brief period where he was obsessively touting it, for the most part, they really don't talk about it. Like, I think it's kind of, you're not supposed to, or like less is more. Like, you kind of aren't supposed to talk about it. And you just say, it works for me, like it's a personal thing, and like I don't talk about it publicly. Yeah. So it's like I don't think she's allowed to, first of all.
Yeah. Is there any other religion though that would be like handled this way? Like, could you imagine if Bronwyn on Salt Lake City, she's not even a Mormon, but if Bronwyn was a Mormon and she had got cast on New York, would Bryn have the same approach, being like, I heard you're a Mormon, do you want to talk about that?
I feel like Shane is a little bit like that on OC. He doesn't really talk about it.
We established he is Mormon?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just felt, I guess it's coming from
like
Bryn, so I'm kind of like annoyed because she handled it so badly, and I know she has nefarious intent, and she just wants to make Rebecca Minkoff look bad, which Minkoff smells that a mile away. She says, I don't just entertain people going, Scientology is weird. Want to talk about it? Or what's your affiliation? She goes, if you want to hear my whole beautiful story of me going to the Church of Scientology in Hollywood and doing my e-meter and going up the bridge, I'll tell you. But I'm not just going to entertain this surface level questioning about it because it's fodder for conflict.
Right. I mean, it did almost get us, but Erin is too afraid to say anything on camera. She almost said something juicy about John Travolta. Do you
Really?
think there was anything fun there?
No. I mean, what? She goes, well, John Travolta did do this one. Oh, I can't say it. I was like, what? I don't know. What was she going to say?
Right.
So I just thought that, I guess maybe it was just handled. I don't know, like what is she going to do once they find out? Is she going to talk about it, be the first open Scientologist on Bravo program?
Right.
In reality, probably Rebecca, I don't know what OT level she is, but if she's not OT4, she has not found out. I've talked about this before. She has not found out about all of the actual mythology that they believe.
Right.
So and they tell you that whole Sea Org shit is like no longer, that's never happened. So like right now she could have a very good view of Scientology overall. 'Cause you know what I mean?
I think I was reading something somewhere. I think her dad is like deep.
Wow.
Like, I think he's like a lawyer and is part of their shenanigans.
They're not allowed to read Going Clear.
I assume that would be unpleasant for them.
If I was in a religion, I say this all the time. If I was in a religion, I would read everything about it, everything in the world, because I would want my worldview reinforced against any, negative feedback that might come in. I would want to strengthen my faith. So if I was a Mormon, I would read the Book of Mormon. I would read about people who have been
under
outside
the banner of heaven.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, why would you purposefully stop yourself from reading material that might change your mind about a religion that you are adhering to for your entire life?
They don't want to know.
They don't want to know.
They want bliss.
Bliss. Ignorance is bliss, I guess. So I didn't like that. I thought Minkoff handled it well. Like,
right.
You don't stop talking about this. And then the ride gets much worse. It gets so turbulent. Jessica goes, I'm going to barf all over this Blade helicopter.
I need to pee and I need to puke. And then they did kind of ask everyone like little tidbits about Scientology or whatever. And then Jenna's big zinger was, I have my own religion, ice cream and puppies. And I was like, what are you saying?
Yeah. Oh my God.
And Andy posted that, like Bravo posted it as a meme and Andy posted it to his stories. And I was like, we cannot be working with this level of humor. I cannot abide by this.
I don't know. That's why I'm like, is Andy loves this? I don't think he's just lying. But I'm like,
puppies and ice cream as a punchline.
Yeah. And they ended the episode as if like this is the
like at least make it like vodka and like Jimmy Choo's, like a little like something.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was bad too, but I'm just like, are we just so clouded with our negative judgment that we can't see some of these iconic lines? I don't think Sonia would have said something like that. I was like, if Sonia said, my only religion is...
No, Sonia would say something absolutely nuts. Yeah. Like, I went to a party at the Scientology Center in Orlando and had a great night. Like, it would be like something you'd be like, what did you say?
Yeah. I agree. And then also Bryn does even one more like throwing Minkoff under the bus because she didn't get her way on the helicopter ride. First of all, she goes, this was not the right time and the right place to have this conversation. It's like, you brought it up.
Right.
You brought it up. And then she goes, I don't know, the way she's talking about it makes me think that she's like a snake oil salesman. Right. She goes, to be honest with you, just between you and I, it's really weird.
Yeah.
So first of all, I know she's a Scientologist, but Minkoff didn't say anything weird in that helicopter. She wasn't
like proselytizing.
No, she said no comment, and if you really want to know about it, you can ask me at a different time. It was the perfect response.
Yeah.
And then Bryn, obviously, in a confessional, between you and me, it's weird. That's such a mean thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
Even despite their religion, she's just like, she's weird. And like nothing about that scene indicated that Minkoff was being weird or...
And also, if you're smart, you like get on her good side and then ask her a deep question about Scientology later when you're like in.
Yeah. I'm almost positive. I mean, Rebecca Minkoff, if you ever see this clip, let us know what OT or where you are on the bridge. Because if you're OT4, you know the secret of Scientology. And that's when Scientology becomes indefensible in my mind. That Paul Haggis, in the Going Clear, the original article in the New Yorker, Paul Haggis spent millions of dollars. He got to OT4. They take you in a room and they open this treasure chest or this box that has the original scrolls that L. Ron Hubbard wrote of what the mythology of Scientology was. He said they put you in a room, they give you access to it, you read it, and then Paul Haggis goes, what the hell did I just read? Is this a joke? And then the Scientology guy, the OT5 person, David Miscavige, he goes, read it again. So Paul Haggis read it again, and he goes, what? He thought the same thing, but then he realized that he had to take this seriously.
Yeah.
And this is offensive to Scientology little turtle cuties. They tell you, I swear they tell everyone in their organization that this is not what Scientologists actually believe, and it is exactly what they believe.
You should write some scrolls that people unlock with a higher Patreon level.
Oh my God, I would love
clear
to.
level.
OT. What does OT mean? Because we could say turtle time.
Yeah.
OTT. What's overpaid? Overpaid turtle time. Overpaid turtle time. That's the new OTT level of Patreon. You get. I will be sending you scrolls for days. You'll get every scroll I've ever written. Oh my God, you are clear as hell. Anyway, well, we talked about that a lot longer than I thought, right?
Same.
Because 40 minutes of news. What was that? What's an hour and 30 minus 40?
Yeah, let's do the math.
50 minutes. Okay.
But yeah, let's do a break.
Yes.
And then we'll do SLC and a little touch of Potomac.
Yeah. Can I give a tease for Salt Lake City?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Okay. Good. No,
Okay, that's a tease. Okay, we're going to take a certified turtle piss break. I felt good about our RHONY recap. Maybe not the news segment, but the RHONY recap, I felt really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a certified turtle piss.
Bye.
We're back.
Hey.
Does it feel better to be with me again on my couch?
In person and the flesh.
Yeah, what do you think?
It's nice. And I just got to meet your little bebe. So sweet, so cute.
Really?
Yeah.
You liked her?
So sweet.
Well, full disclosure, she did start crying with me.
Not my fault.
No. You didn't do anything wrong. Absolutely, you didn't do anything wrong. But I just think that you got to see her in all of her forms.
Yeah.
Sleeping, moderately happy, and then
looking in the mirror.
Yeah, and then upset.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because she needed to eat some food, but
yeah.
That's okay. I mean, she's a baby, and so you don't judge her
to be expected.
You don't judge her too harshly for that.
No.
Okay, good. Well, good. I'm. Thank you for coming to me today. It feels good, even though I love our remote records as well. It's not horrible.
Great option.
It's not horrible like people say, right?
No one says that.
So. Okay,
so you loved Salt Lake this week. I did imagine that you would get very fired up about them going to the Miller Lite factory / caves.
You know me well. Well, first of all, I think that this is an underrated aspect of these franchises. Like, I'm excited to see OC go to London.
Yeah.
So see, London. Is there another word for what they call that city?
London town.
Foggy Bottom? The foggy?
The London fog.
The London fog. Big Ben. Like, whatever they call it, London. I'm excited to see London through the eyes of the OC cast members.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to see Milwaukee, a city I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Who, I've always wanted to go, and I liked seeing it on Salt Lake City as sort of the tourism aspect of this. Like, we got to see the highlights of Milwaukee in these 2 episodes, so I loved the Miller Beer Cave. I thought that was so fun.
It did look fun. Did you like the intro, this goofy sitcom intro?
Yes. So the first time, when I watched it, I didn't know what that was a reference to. I just thought that they were just being fun as hell. And then once they started doing the Laverne and Shirley references, I realized that it's a recreation of Laverne and Shirley. I'd never seen that show before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Laverne and Shirley, didn't that also have a spinoff?
Yeah. Okay. I think these are these Gary Marshall shows?
Maybe.
Laverne and Shirley, they were spawned off of. Would you say
Penny Marshall?
Penny Marshall. Oh. They were spawned off from Laverne and Shirley. I think there was a character. I would look this up probably someday, but what was their deal?
Just friends?
Were they fun friends?
And then there's Mary Tyler Moore, who had Mary and Rhoda.
Rhoda got her own spinoff?
Who? B. Arthur had a spinoff. Who did she play?
B. Arthur had a spinoff. You know what? I'm not sure if Laverne and Shirley. I think I might have been thinking about Rhoda being a spinoff of Mary Tyler Moore. Laverne and Shirley. Yeah, you're right. Wow. They worked as bottle cappers in a fictitious Shots brewery in the late 1950s in Milwaukee.
Maybe we should be watching.
It's a spinoff of Happy Days.
Oh.
Laverne and Shirley, I guess, were characters on Happy Days. Two friends and roommates who work as bottle cappers, and then they got their own show for 6 seasons.
Oh. Okay.
So you didn't know anything about them either. 8 seasons of this show, 178 episodes.
Oh yeah. B. Arthur was on a show called Maude.
B. Arthur was on a show
And that
called
was Norman Lear.
Norman Lear. All right, so
Who
yeah,
did
this
All
is,
in the Family and the Jeffersons.
so I don't know Laverne and Shirley. I don't know them at all. It started from 1976 to 1983. But then, I went back and I said, okay, this is a recreation of Laverne and Shirley, but I don't know generally the vibe. Good friends,
Yeah.
fun. Is it kind of what that show that Heather Dubrow, the pilot for Jenny
The show
McCarthy?
you refuse to remember the name of.
Was it
despite
sort of like
bringing it up all the time.
Jenny McCarthy and Heather Dubrow show where that was two friends
Yeah,
living
I
in an
think
apartment?
everything is just a spin-off of Laverne and Shirley forever.
They've really figured out how to maximize friends in an apartment environment. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like there's that happy endings. Wasn't that same?
New Girl.
New Girl. Don't trust the bee in apartment 23.
2 guys, a girl, in a pizza place.
Yeah. Big Bang Theory takes place in apartments.
Yeah.
What was the last one you said?
Is it 2 guys or 3 guys, a girl, in a pizza place?
Yeah, I'm saying, and then you can't even discount Friends,
Yeah.
which also has this premise. But yeah, so I did like this. I thought that the editors were like on mushrooms or something because they were adding a lot of fun, enticing visuals. They did Meredith as a scuba diver, like you saw that, where they photoshopped
Yeah.
Meredith as a scuba diver. They did that black and white edit when Bronwyn was talking about how Todd was old enough to not know what color television was.
Right.
And then they did even more. Like they did Heather in like a thought bubble over Whitney saying, "Don't bring up the shit in Sprinter vans."
Right.
So there was a lot of fun in this
Yeah.
episode.
We didn't really talk about last week. They photoshopped them all as Golden Girls too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The editors are having a lot of fun.
It's funny how that is different from city to city. Like Potomac also had kind of a kooky intro that we can talk about when we get there. But I was like, yeah, sometimes they just decide to have fun.
Yeah, and what franchise wouldn't have like the kooky edit? Like Beverly Hills, would they be photoshopping Sutton's face into like Golden Girls things? Or if they were like, we're like Lucy and Ethel, would they
Right.
like Photoshop Kyle and
Right.
Sutton being Lucy and Ethel?
Right. Like RHONY, current RHONY would not do that.
No, it's
Like,
too
ever.
stately.
Yeah.
It's too like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they let Salt Lake City have fun, so I loved that stuff, even though I didn't know who the hell Laverne and Shirley were or what they represent. I just imagined 2 friends, so I kind of got
Right.
the reference.
So yeah, I get kind of confused, I guess, because it seems like a weird setup of like the Meredith and Lisa conversation. Like,
Yeah. So all of the conflict this season is built on a really shaky foundation. The Lisa and Angie stuff doesn't really make much sense because it all
Yeah.
started at that dinner that we saw, that Valentine's Day dinner, which I think we both agreed, like we were just like, what the hell are you guys fighting about? This all came out of nowhere and it doesn't
Right.
make any sense and it's a bunch of garbage. The only new conflict I'm interested in is the Alibaba Prism conflict. But the rest of it, it's like running on fumes, but like Angie won't let it go or die. And then Angie does she makes it even worse this episode by apparently at the Bucks suite, she went up to Meredith and said, "Lisa talks so much shit about you, Meredith. Do you remember when she said you were fucking everybody in New York City? And do you remember all the other shit she talked about you? You can't trust Lisa, so you should be on our side," basically, to Meredith. Right. So that's Angie and Whitney trying to get Meredith to turn on Lisa for their benefit. And I'm like, why is Angie in this situation with Lisa right now?
Right.
What is really going on?
right. That's what I'm confused about.
Like, Angie says, well, here's what happened. Angie was at that dinner, and Lisa got mad that Angie told information to Whitney that she said was confidential between friends. So Lisa took a friendship break with Angie K because she were like, "You're siding with Whitney. You told her privileged information. I don't want a friend like that." And then it seems like Angie K is spiraling to be like, oh, if you're not going to be my friend, I'm going to be the ultimate villain to you, and I'm going to try to turn other people against you. I'm going to solidify my relationship with Whitney even more. I was like, for me, that was a step way too far for Angie to go against Lisa.
Yeah.
Like, turning Meredith. So I just don't understand. I think because it started out on such like not great conflict, the through lines aren't making much sense anymore to me of what they're actually fighting about.
Right. And then we get a little bit of divide where Lisa decides to not go on the day trip, but she invites Brittany and Maylee to go curling instead.
Yeah. So Lisa definitely lost out on that activity.
Yeah.
And I wonder, it was interesting because I do think this was last minute. Like, I'm sure they wanted Lisa at the beer caves, but Lisa, because she just found out from Meredith that Whitney and Angie are trying to turn Meredith against her, she's like, I'm not going on your trip with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with you. And you can see Whitney is completely shocked that Lisa's refusing to go. And I think that Lisa just spun around in a circle and pointed at the two nearest cast members.
She was like, you'll do whatever I ask because you're new and just want camera time.
Yeah.
And while she's with them, Brittany is like, Jared texted me, called me, voicemailed me. And apparently the night before they had done like a full deep dive about the Brow Girl. And she's like, I think that was when we were on a break. And they show his text where he describes her as like a friend. He goes like, this isn't cool. I thought we were closer than you, just like ghosting me. And he's like, judging by your behavior, you have terminated the friendship.
I thought that the Brittany, like, she was the one that was FaceTiming him and leaving voice notes and like worried and checking up on him while she was gone. You look at her phone, he wrote 70 messages in a row. It was multimedia.
Yeah.
It was long text messages, short text messages being like, hey, BFF, where are you? I miss you so much. Then he sent a video and he sent voice memos to her.
Yeah.
He was spiraling on his end.
Right.
So, and I also saw that Jared Osmond tried to paint it like Brittany used him to get on the show, and the only reason she got on the show was because of him, and that this was more of like a one-sided thing or whatever. But with this text evidence, it looks like Jared was fully in as well at this time.
Yeah. She describes what he did as treasonous.
Yes.
It's like, it's giving January 6th.
Oh, because that's how you would describe that event?
Treason.
You're right. Oh, right. Yeah, it was. So that, and then Lisa goes, that's the perfect word for what this is. Absolute treason. Right.
I love that drama. And then let's see what else. We kind of got, I wanted to hear the ghost stories.
Me too. So they go to the beer caves, which I loved this. I was like, I can't believe they're having this much fun. And I thought, like, what's the cave aspect? I really thought that Miller High Life was brewed with cave water. You know what I mean? Like deep well water or cave water. You know how they say that certain well water is like really good for like beer.
Minerals.
For like the Adirondacks, they say that there's so many minerals like brewing up there. So I was like, what cave water do they use? But that's not what the hell Miller's highlighting about the caves. These were the caves that they put Miller High Life in when they didn't have refrigerators.
Refrigeration's not that old.
Oh, when was it? 1960s? Don Draper gets a fridge in Mad Men, right? And he goes, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah, because my old apartment had a ice box, and it was built in like 1920. Like it's like you would just get a block of ice and put it in your cabinet, and that's what your fridge was.
Wow. So this is not even that old. So they were storing Miller High Lifes, keeping it that cave cold for a long time until they got refrigerators. So I thought that was really interesting. A little bit of history there.
But yeah, Mary interrupts they're supposed to be like, come talk to the bartenders about the ghost stories of this haunted cave. And then they're all like, I think they say something like, do you guys know much about Milwaukee, or is this your first time? And Mary's like, my dad lived by Jeffrey Dahmer and it smelled like rotten body parts. And they were like, oh,
this was a new detail. She added more to the Jeffrey Dahmer story. So originally it was he would whistle outside of that house as he would walk to work and he smelled rotting body parts. And he goes, oh, God, that smells so awful. I hope nothing weird is going on in there. And then this story was, no, he lived across the street and he saw police officers bringing bagged bags into their police cars. And she goes, little did he know those were rotting body parts that were cooked. So then the bartenders are like, game over. You just won the storytelling competition.
Yeah.
But I did want to know, do you think it was about, like, what do you think the ghost story could have been?
Just like drunk ghosts.
I was thinking, I was like the tale of like a ghost that wouldn't leave the caves. He used to get
Maybe
drunk.
he fell
there.
in the vat or something.
Yeah, I was like, I really did want to know. I think that's something that we could follow up on because I want to know what the Miller Cave ghost story is. Also, if there's any Milwaukee Little Turtle Cuties or Villa Rosa VIPs, if you know the ghost story that they're going to tell at the caves, please let us know.
Yeah.
So we were deprived of that because Mary kind of overshadowed the storytelling.
I did like when she was like, my dad did lie a lot though.
Yeah, and I hope he wasn't lying about this. Also, we get Mary's first beer.
Oh yeah.
Which I loved.
She loved it.
She, like, if you were presented Miller High Life like that, like, no offense, but I don't think I love the taste of Miller High Life the last time I checked. But if you were presented like, this is the champagne of beers, this will replace 2003 Dom for you, and it's served to you cold, cave cold, in a little glass, I bet you that would taste amazing if you had no context for Miller
like
High
she
Life.
thinks it's luxurious even though it's like the cheapest beer imaginable.
It's the perfect what's that called, placebo effect or whatever, where it's like if you influence the environment around you, you can change someone's perception.
Totally.
Like they serve that with like cave aged cheese,
cheese curds,
cave aged fruit. And then so she goes, I love this. If I knew all beer tasted like this, I would be guzzling it. I don't know if she said that, but she was excited.
Loved
and then
it.
Angie, I love when Angie toasted to the Miller High Life and she goes, are we all going to be beer drinkers now? I thought that was kind of sweet.
And then for some reason, Whitney and Heather decide not to go to the ghost story portion because
and Shirley.
They need to talk about Alibaba. And basically Whitney says it's bullshit. She's like, I have heard about this because my business partner asked if it was one of my friends who had posted, aka like cast members, I guess.
Yeah. Why would she ever think? I mean, I know she's lying and she doesn't actually believe this, but why would she think that Meredith would do this over someone on the internet who loves Bravo, who investigates everything in the world? Like, you would make a TikTok about anything in the world. Like, why is it so unbelievable that someone in the Bravo universe, a fan, uncovered this instead of Meredith?
But they did by the end of the episode, paint a pretty good picture. It keeps coming up that Meredith is the bone collector of the internet rumors.
Yeah, I mean, she was, well, I don't know. What did Whitney do to Meredith again? Use the bath bombs? Started the bath bomb company?
Right.
Well, she's lied about Meredith in the past. Meredith brought up a bunch of accusations that Whitney leveled against Meredith. So Meredith just is not in a good place with Whitney. And the bath bomb was basically just like balm on the top of a bathtub. So I think that they're just already not in a good place. But what Whitney doesn't refute is that some of these had to be from Alibaba. It's true, right?
I mean, she goes, we buy from curated vendors. That's what commerce is.
Yeah, but so I'm saying she didn't specifically say these are not from Alibaba, and they have the proof. I mean, no one was faking that would...
Unless a vendor on Alibaba pulled a photo in reverse.
Alibaba went to Prism and said, that's the best photo I've ever seen of this merchandise that we sell a shitty knockoff of. That's what she should have said.
That's what I would have said.
You know what I'm saying? How do you know Alibaba didn't take that from me and sell it?
Yeah, I'm going to sue Alibaba.
I would sue them so quickly if I was Whitney. So yeah, she says, that's called commerce. And she goes, do you really think Meredith is swimming in the ocean gathering all of her caviar? It's like, no, that's not the same thing at all. And also Heather, again, is giving...
I would pay a lot more if she did.
Could you imagine if she was harvesting that caviar? Where do they get it from?
Is it farmed?
Caviar? I'm not sure. I've only had it once. I don't know about that, but that's interesting to think about. But also, Heather keeps spinning this like she did last week, where she's like, these rumors could ruin your business, but no one is just actually saying, Whitney, we think you did this. This is awful. Please rectify it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then Whitney gets to really spin it for all it's worth, being like, Meredith should have told me if she was a true friend to me. That means she's horrible. And Meredith is basically like, I'm not a true friend to you. I don't like you right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Heather at the end of this beer cave conversation is like, pretend I didn't tell you. Wait to bring it up. Don't bring it up on the ride back.
Don't ruin it in our Sprinter van. Also, she said, I like this, or I didn't like it, but Whitney said, Meredith comes from a place of gatekeeping and fear. That was kind of interesting.
Wow.
Do you think Meredith does?
I don't know what the hell she's up to in her mind.
Meredith?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
me
idea. They go to dinner at Harley Davidson for some reason.
This was awesome. This was awesome. Whitney goes, please don't ruin this dinner. Well, she did. She brought up on the way.
Yeah.
So she didn't do it on the way back from the Miller Caves. She was just still stunned by how beautiful the caves were. So she waited. But then once they tidied up and they went on the way to Harley, she goes, I was having an amazing trip until someone started talking about my business. And then Meredith goes, that was me. I don't truly care about your business that much. That's why I didn't tell you. And then it kind of fizzles out because Whitney goes, you all know what? You're not going to ruin this for me because I'm a Harley Davidson girl and this is my dream to go
They had the
here.
receipts to prove it. She is a motor girl.
She's been ripping on motorcycles for as long as you can remember.
Yeah.
I with the Miller Caves, I'll never go. I mean, I don't want to sell myself short, but I might never go to the Harley Davidson museum for a dinner. So I love that I got to see what this was like in that Harley Davidson showroom and everything.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was fun. And I like that Bronwyn was like, okay, so we've moved on. Like, we're all just enjoying ourselves at this museum, and whatever just happened on the bus doesn't exist anymore.
Bronwyn's the audience surrogate right now.
Yeah.
She's just going, what the hell is happening here?
And I love that Whitney is like, well, I did want to start out this dinner by giving you all my Alibaba jewelry.
But I felt... Yeah, but she goes, but because you made fun of my Alibaba jewelry, it seemed inappropriate to give you this stuff from Alibaba, but she still gives it to them anyway.
Yeah.
What was it? She goes, these are all custom designs. And I tried to look at it.
Yeah,
like,
they didn't
what
really
is
feature
this?
them. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a full-blown Angie versus Lisa, which, like, I don't even know. You, like, blink for a second and it, like, began.
I blinked on accident, but it was Whitney was talking more about Meredith making fun of, or, bringing up the Alibaba stuff. And then Lisa goes, you're making a bigger deal about this. Meredith told this same story to me, and she just said, I'm worried for Whitney that she's selling this stuff, which was obviously a nice interpretation.
Yeah.
And then Whitney goes back with her hatred towards Lisa and goes, stop steamrolling me. I'm having a conversation with Meredith. You always get in the middle. You're steamrolling me with your constant barrage of back and forth with me. I just want to have a talk with Meredith. She says steamrolling like 5 times.
Yeah.
And Lisa's like, I love that that's your new word. You just can't deal with the fact that I speak in facts back to you. Mm-hmm. So then that's how Lisa and Whitney get in there. And then Angie then, I think, wants to pop off as part of the Lisa dynamic. But I felt Angie kind of, I think, went a little overboard here at the Harley Davidson dinner. First of all, they show the Harley Davidson owner, and he's horrified. He's got his hands over his mouth. But the way
Bill Davidson.
Did you? I didn't know that it was three Davidson. It was 2 cousins, the dad, and then a friend named Harley.
Wow. Oh,
did you know that?
I didn't put that together.
Oh yeah, it's so interesting. But so he was horrified, but then Angie goes, I thought Angie took it to a level that it didn't warrant.
She was like coming out of her seat, her chair falls over.
She kind of pushed her chair back.
She was like pointing, and then Lisa is like, I don't give a fuck what you do, and they were like going back and forth.
She goes, you only love me, Angie K, when I'm doing everything you say. And the minute I popped out of my shell with Whitney, you forsook me. And then she started calling Lisa a fucking bitch. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think that this is going to be a friendship that gets resolved, or a relationship that comes back together. But calling her a fucking bitch over what Lisa was saying seemed a little too much to me.
But then Lisa committed the cardinal sin of housewives.
Oh, you don't speak of this one thing. You say what it was.
She says, why don't you call Electra? You always use that as an excuse to get off the phone with me. Just call Electra. And everyone's like, don't bring the kids into this.
Yeah, the music goes sullen, like horrified. Brittany goes, "Oh God, no! Don't bring her kids into this." And then everyone is like,
Angie's like,
Angie goes, "I try to be such a good mother to Electra. I had a horrible mother, and so everything I do is for Electra. So she hit me at the worst spot I could ever have."
and she's like, no, I'm saying you are always on the phone with your daughter and
Yeah.
like don't want to talk to me, so you call her instead. And I'm like, haven't you learned?
Yeah,
Haven't you watched Teresa Giudice? Like,
Lisa knew she blew it. She goes, "I shouldn't have said Electra. God damn it." But I was fully on Lisa's side. I'm fine with bringing up a kid like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't calling out her as a irresponsible mother or too much of a doting mother. It was just saying you use your daughter as an excuse when you want to get off the phone with me, which, what is that about?
it was just kind of
Does
weird
Lisa
all
call her-
around.
Does Lisa call her too much?
I know. Maybe. Because, I think Angie said, like, I've taken time away from my daughter to talk to you.
Yeah, she should have said, and she goes, "Lisa calls me day in and day out, even at night." And Angie should have saved the fucking bitch for after the Electra thing.
It's giving Shannon and Tamra. Tamra's always like, you take up all of my time on the phone, like 24/7. It's ruining my life.
Do you think Lisa does that to Angie?
I bet she's giving like gabs in the car. And like, you're like, what are you saying? Like, is this worth my time right now? She's like going through the drive-thru and she's like, hey, so
I already told you,
anyways.
like, it's kind of sad. I have nobody who gabs with me in the car or in their car ride anymore.
Yeah.
Long talks. No one
Yeah.
calls me just to give me the scoop.
We should post your number online.
Yeah, you can call me. You can call me anytime. Angie goes, she hit me where she knows it would hurt me the most, my relationship with Electra. And then Mary says kind of a nice thing, even though nobody takes it. She goes, you both are very emotional right now, but you love each other. And then that ends it. And then Brittany, I love that. I didn't like when Brittany did the first toast 3 episodes ago because I was like, who the hell are you and why are you giving an all hands toast that everybody has to listen to? But the fact that she did it again,
Ding, ding, ding.
I'm like, okay, I don't mind.
have an update.
I don't mind if you keep doing toast because everybody groaned and everybody goes, oh no.
She's like, I've had an epiphany.
Yeah.
And me and the Osmond have broken up.
Yep.
And they're like, have you told him that?
Yeah, the producers ask her. She goes, no, I haven't done that yet. But she did have an epiphany, and everybody is so happy that she's no longer.
And they're like, something says, I've heard this before. And they do a
Right.
montage where she literally tells 10 different groups that she's had an epiphany. Like, they had an unbelievable amount of footage of her saying she had an epiphany.
Well, I thought that was all. I thought that she said that epiphany line 6 times that day and then waited for the dinner to tell it to everyone,
Right.
making sure that it possibly got on camera.
Right.
I think that she said it to everyone at curling and earlier in the day or whatever. So I don't know if she's been saying that the entire time.
Right. And then she goes head to head. Bronwyn is like, why is this Osmond guy so great? Like, is that the reason you like him, basically? And they're all like, he grew up on Osmond Lane, which I'm like, I want that address.
Could you imagine? And it is exactly what you would imagine. It's a lane where all of the Osmonds settled, right? Except Donnie and Marie.
I guess so. And then Brittany fires back and she's like, worry about your own damn marriage. What's your husband's name again?
Yeah, no, I thought that was rude. Well, actually, I didn't. So I thought the Bronwyn was better at having a tone that is skeptical and prying, but also they're being snarky.
Yeah.
So she was asking those Osmond questions to get at Brittany. But then Brittany, when she served it back, Bronwyn was like, touche, I was asking you a bunch of mean comments. Brittany's level, though, was just at a 10 out of 10 when she talked about Todd.
Yeah.
But then she kind of gives it back to her, and I thought it was deserved. I think it was fine to put a spotlight on Bronwyn's marriage this early into it if she's going to question Brittany's relationship with the Osmond. But I did think it's like, you got to learn Todd's name. He's iconic. He's the Palm Pilot
Todd.
Kingpin. He's so fun. I think I loved his FaceTime call with Bronwyn. He so far he hasn't done one odd thing to me at all. I think he's almost perfect so far.
Yeah, and she says they don't have a prenup. She's like, he obviously knows that we have something special, and he's such a shrewd businessman that he did what he thought was right, and that meant no prenup. And she also said that she wouldn't get his money if they broke up. But I'm like, if you don't have a prenup, I think you would. But
Meredith said something. She was like just whispering to Heather. She was like, it could be a premarital asset, like maybe his Palm Pilot revenue is protected.
That's like all of his
It's not
cash.
Technically a prenup, but like you can't access this beautiful
it's like
gold
she
mine.
can only go after what he made while they were together.
Yeah. Did you see that film Blackberry?
No, was it good?
No, but I think Todd is in it for a second because
wow.
they're kind of courting.
Palm Pilot.
They're kind of courting the Blackberry people.
Who
so I
plays
think
him, Brian Cox.
I think it's Brian Cox or no, I think it's Brian Cox. But I also like, even though Brittany was asking these questions, I know on paper it seems like you would only love Todd for his money, but I actually think they have a good relationship so far.
Intellectual stimulus.
Don't you think? Like they seem.
Sure.
You don't know them well, like I know them, but it's.
I also like have no judgment towards gold diggers.
Oh right.
Like I'm like, you're the one that has to live with them. What do I care?
Right. Yeah. No, I don't care either. But I don't care either. I just thought it was easy.
Which is why I wanted to bring up. I watched a video of someone complaining about Bryn from RHONY. They said what I.
What could they say wrong about Bryn?
They said what I was thinking from the premiere. I think when she's so horrified about what Jeff Lewis insinuated, where I'm like, you can't play both sides of the fence where you act like this little spinky minx where you're like, I want to fuck men and women and I'll fuck your dad and I do whatever I want and I'm just like such a slut for fun. But then when someone insinuates that she's a sex worker, she's like, that is vile, disgusting, and horrifying. And I'm like, which is it?
Well, you know why that is. Because she's completely faking everything about her persona and she doesn't know what to say at any given time because it's all fake.
But I'm like, your values, where do they lie? Like
the charitable read is that she just wanted to make this. She loves the former part, the sex stuff, but then she wanted to make this horrible for conflict this season.
Yeah, I'm like, since when would you give a shit about being a sugar baby? Right. And also with the new gay cast member, she is doing this whole flirtation thing again, which I'm like, if you don't have sex with women, shut up.
Right.
And then on the red carpet, she posted an Instagram where it was like her glancing towards away from the camera. And it goes, when I see your dad. And I'm like, we got to drop this.
I know.
It's done.
Who else said they were going to fuck our dads? Was it just Bryn or has other
She really
Bravo?
made it her thing.
Really? Haven't we heard this? Having sex with our
be?
Dads? I remember someone else saying that they were gonna have sex with my dad. But yeah, I know. I agree. We didn't talk about that last week, but that was a huge like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you don't seem like someone who would be
It's so annoying.
offended by this.
Okay, and then I mean, the drag show, nothing happens at the drag show. Trixie Mattel's not even there. I did want to point out though, so Bronwyn wore that couture hot dog outfit. Mm-hmm. It's Moschino. You know who designs for Moschino?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Jeremy Scott?
Yes.
Yes! I know one fashion designer, and he was in the Megalopolis red carpet with us, and I absolutely love him. He really? So he might have possibly designed that hot dog outfit?
That little mustard cap hat.
Wow. So Mary put the definitive take on this outfit. She goes, the red heart was couture. Is that how you say it?
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, couture. This is a
goddamn costume.
And you imagine, I mean, when you think about that divide, if someone was wearing that on Halloween, no one would say, you're not dressed up like anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're a hot dog. You're dressed
Literally
up like a hot dog.
I liked that little hat though.
I loved all of it, but I did think, like, you don't have to fully. You can poke fun at the fact that this might be a little tongue-in-cheek and is bordering on costume. If you wanted to make it more couture, you could have had it be like the hot dog color, a tan jacket, and then a little yellow
Like
line that was like mustard.
deconstructed.
Yeah, like it can
More the
be-
implication of a hot dog.
I have to say, this was more on the side of like she looked like a hot dog, right? Like,
Undeniably so.
like, anyway, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people would be like, "You're dressed like a hot dog." You know what I mean? So that was funny though. And then the drag show, I was very surprised that the entire reason for this trip was to go to this drag show, and then it ends up being 5 minutes at the end of the episode where
It's
nothing.
a true dive bar.
Yeah,
Like
where-
I thought it was going to be another, like, I mean, it's smart of Trixie to invest in all sorts of businesses, but it was like a black box, like sticky floor drag bar. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like cute.
I guess there was nothing that I guess there was nothing that they could really do with this. It was too packed with like fans and stuff, but they kind of just like dance up
Yeah.
there and then it's over. I do remember seeing this. I remember the TikToks that came in from people that were there when the cast came
Yeah.
in or whatever, but I don't remember Bronwyn in that outfit. I feel like I
Right.
would have like remarked upon that.
Right. We probably thought it was like a drag queen.
Yeah, it's possible. So yeah, that was it. So did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was fun. Loved getting the glimpse of Milwaukee. But I will say Mary is having a good run. Like she's more pleasant. I'll give her that.
She said, Andy Cohen asked her, he said, "Mary, we have to know what's the difference between you and the previous season." She goes, "I'm actually just much happier in life right now. And the cast members are much nicer to me and treating me with respect." And she answered the question I had, which was when Whitney and Mary now are in like, "I love you" territory, like hugging and saying, "I love you." I was like, what happened? And she said that Whitney apologized for everything she did to Robert Sr. and to her. All of the accusations she made about Mary's church, she apologized. So that's why Mary forgave her. She said,
They don't exist anymore, those allegations.
I think that we don't know anymore.
A cease and desist was possibly sent.
It's very possible, but at least there's reason for why Mary loves Whitney again.
Sure.
Something happened, you know?
Right. All right. Should we do a little crash course Potomac just to get people deciding if they want to watch it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it much more casually than you, and I think I might have done something for the last 10 minutes. So you tell me your wonderful thoughts on Potomac and how you felt about it.
Well, it started out like I teased before with a wild DUI drunk POV reenactment.
Now I saw this. Is this the first time that they've ever done anything
So
like
I
this?
was shocked.
It kind of, I was like, they meant to take it seriously, but
It was
because
goofy.
Potomac is so like funny and they have such a good sense of humor, like it almost had a silly edit for a second with like the deer or whatever, but they were trying to make this as accurate and true.
I'm sorry, but like a blurry like car swerving in the road, like first person POV is never gonna be not funny.
And they're not used to doing reenactments. They don't do it very often, so it wasn't handled very well.
Right.
But what happened was Karen was, I guess, drunk.
Leaving dinner.
Leaving dinner. She says that a deer ran out, which is very plausible because we saw a lot of deers in this episode. They were showing us every deer in the Potomac. It went out in front of her. She ran out of control or whatever, tried to swerve away from it, and that's when she crashed into like a tree.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And
Car
then
totaled.
and then when they went there, they go, "I think you're drunk. Let's give you one of those breathalyzers." And she was drunk. And then also there was a bunch of other charges. I forget all of them, right? It was like
Endangering.
fake car.
Oh yeah. Like
Endangering an animal. Fake
it was like all of the things that come with driving recklessly.
And when they're talking about this, they go, "I can't believe Karen did this, especially after the last DUI she had." And I didn't know Karen.
Remember that.
I didn't know Karen had a DUI in 2018.
Second offense. I guess, I mean, that was on the show, but I guess I forgot.
Me too. I totally forgot. But yeah, Karen, I mean,
That's so bad.
You don't want to get drunk again in a car because then it looks like you drink and drive often.
Right.
So
right. If you got caught twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way she's talking about it is very strange. So like Giselle is actually being very nice about this.
You know why?
She wants camera time.
Well, that, and also with Robin gone, Karen is they're now OGs, and I noticed that Giselle used to treat Karen like shit.
Yeah.
That's the common bond between them. She treats Karen like absolute shit. I think now that there's 2 new cast members and Wendy and Mia are relatively new, it's ally time if Robin's gone. Like you Ashley and Karen need to be
Yeah.
in alliance together.
I just
on
liked
Potomac.
that it was immediate kindness instead of what probably she would have done. She probably would have pulled a Tamra move
Yeah.
previously.
She would have with Robin.
Yeah.
They would have both been talking shit about Karen the entire time. So I did like this.
Yeah.
I did like this
But
approach.
the way that Karen is talking about it, so she goes, she's like, my injuries were not life-threatening. It was just my ribs and my ankle, thank God. And when they go to the Tally Ho restaurant, which I love, they just go to this hole-in-the-wall like diner. And I was like,
loved it
why
too.
did they choose here? But Karen goes, I can't wait for the truth to come out. And I'm like, what do you think
Yeah.
that is going to be?
The truth that it
That
yeah.
she wasn't fucked up?
Or maybe it was one of those like the driver's registration was actually accurate or something, but I think
she
it's
pulled a Justin Timberlake.
he said we don't know everything we need to know about this.
Well, I don't think did he let them breathalyze him or he denied it? Or he did.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. But yeah, I'm like, I mean, babes, like you got caught. But
well, Karen, if I remember, she's trying to shut it down with Giselle. She's like, this is not, we're not doing this at the Tally Ho.
It was giving Beast, how dare you, Lisa and Kim Richards, where she's like, I already told you, like,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about this.
Yeah.
And Giselle, you can tell she's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll drop it.
Yeah. And then I loved, I don't know if this is right when it's at, but I love when the guy gave them a donut, the person who worked there. And Giselle goes, what did we do to deserve this free donut? And the person, what are they called?
The waiter.
Waiters. He goes, he said, this is one of my favorite customers of all time. She never gets drunk and drives out of here ever once. And then Giselle goes, well, you don't serve alcohol here, so that's really easy. And he goes, look behind you, you idiot. Those people are drinking a bunch of alcohol.
Everyone in this restaurant is fucked up right
and
now.
Did you see that? They had like a newborn sweet baby. Did you see that? They had like a 6-month-old.
And she was like, that joke's on me. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karen implies she's having a hard time. They zoom in on her acrylic nails. She's missing like 3 of them. But yeah, the waiter, it was a payola. He was like, that's what Giselle said.
But I thought the opposite. I thought that he just did love Karen, and she does go to Tally Ho so often that he just wanted to make her look good.
He already knew her scandal. Like he gets TMZ alerts.
Who wouldn't know that they have a popular cast member on a reality television show that comes there often?
Yeah.
And you are deeply familiar by reading up about them. You'd be like, that client that I have who comes in all the time drank and drive.
Yeah.
I really didn't think Karen paid for that person to say that.
Or maybe she talked to him before.
Said, please say on camera that I'd never. It honestly made her look worse to me that he said that, because it was like, is that even an option that she gets breakfast and gets really drunk and drives out of here? I thought that it was more of like a clumsy comment that he shouldn't have said.
That's always how it is with this stuff. Like it comes up throughout. Like when she's at the dress shop, the girls are like, is it okay that we're drinking? And she's like, yes, like I don't have a problem. And then they have the sober cocktail at the party. It's called like the non-alcoholic Grand Dame. And she's like, that was shady. Like,
yeah,
it's so awkward to talk about it.
It is. And it's what they did with Shannon, where they were like, you can't drink ever, right?
Yeah.
But this, for some reason, Karen doesn't seem at all like she has a problem
Even though
with.
she has 2 DUIs.
Right. But
with Shannon, I guess it's because with the like Shannon, like part of her persona is drinking.
Yes.
And so it's much more obvious, and like part of like she's always ordering the vodka, the Belvedere soda, whatever. So like, and she's always getting like fucked up. Whereas Karen, it's like she drinks, but you don't really think of her as being like fucked up.
And I don't know what the difference is, but it seems weird to me that they were all like, is it weird to drink in front of you after you just had a DUI? Like, is that what you do?
It was kind of rude.
I want to put it, well, that new cast member was kind of trying to be rude.
Yeah.
But I want to put it as a real time scenario. If you found out I got a DUI, like I left your house and I had drank 6 beers and I got a DUI, the next time you saw me drinking, if I was at a bar, would you be like, Riley shouldn't be drinking?
Well, I'd be like, did you drive here?
So it's more
You're like Kim Zolciak, like in the parking lot with like a glass of wine and a cigarette.
So it's more about questioning what they're going to do with those.
Well, that's what Vicky
drinks.
always said. She's like, she's never going to drink and drive again. She can drink, but she can't drink and drive.
Yeah.
Which
So
I stand by.
I do too. So when they were like, Karen, you can we drink champagne in front of you at this shop or whatever? I was like,
Yeah.
um,
She's like, I'm not a boozer. But I had to. Okay, so last thing at the Tally Ho restaurant, Giselle and Karen are gossiping because apparently Mia has a new boyfriend. She's going around the world with this guy, DJ Inc.
Yeah.
INC. And they're like, wait, what's his name? DJ. And Karen calls him DJ Applebox because he's short and would need to stand on an apple box to be as tall as Mia. And I was like, that's one of the funniest things I've heard in a really long time.
yeah.
DJ Applebox?
DJ Applebox.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And then,
When's the last time someone said something that like out of
no, it
the
was,
world?
it
Like,
was- it
where
was-
did that come from? That was so funny.
It was great. And they show all the photos. First, they draw a little apple box. An apple box is a little stepping stool usually used in production. And they drew a little one. And then when you watch all the photos, you see that there's a lot of ways that Mia is trying to make him look taller. She's standing back behind DJ Applebox. There's one where he's
using
lowering
perspective.
where he's lowering his head so you don't know where his head would end up if it was raised. Like they did every single thing you could do to obfuscate his height.
The like 0.5 on the iPhone.
Yeah, and they said she just needs to admit that he's a shorty.
Yeah. DJ Applebox. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that should be our new like Instagram handle, DJ Applebox.
Yeah, I love that.
We get this is like we'll speed through this. I don't need to get into the nitty-gritty, but like Mia and Gordon and DJ Applebox is like going to be like a messy topic this season. They are separated, but they live in the same building. She says it's hard for her to get her sneaky links, which I
Yeah.
guess just means get laid.
Yeah.
With him living in the building. He doesn't want DJ Applebox taking his son to get a haircut. But then it's revealed that DJ Applebox might be the baby daddy.
Yeah. Because Mia has been having an affair with this person for that long. How old is her son? 7?
Yeah.
8?
Yeah. And then they roll the clip like multiple times in this episode where one of the times they were fighting like last season or previously, Gordon is like, our daughter came home and said, Mommy was in bed with DJ Inc. Mr. Inc.
Wow. And Mia doesn't confirm or deny with Gordon. Gordon goes, he is my son, right? And I forget what Mia says.
She says it's always a possibility.
It's a possibility that Gordon could have been raising DJ Applebox's son.
I
for
was
the entire-
shocked.
I was too, and it kind of is bad of us to not have finished last season of Potomac because that
know.
is a pretty wild thing that's going on.
I know, that's like salacious.
Yeah.
And so that comes up a few times and I was like, holy shit. And then we get Ashley with her lawyer. She's moving forward with her divorce. She wants to start dating, which I think will be fun.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even though I know he's canceled. He's very toxic and bad, but
Mr. Darby?
Mr. Darby really like got this show like through the roof.
Oh yeah, it was all the things that he was doing. I was thinking while I was watching Potomac, I was like, remember the kangaroo themed restaurant that Ashley and Michael had called Ruse or whatever? And it was like Australian
Who wants
barbecue.
Australian food.
I have no clue, but yeah, the Michael Darby era was wild. Yeah. Anything else about this episode that made you happy?
I think that the new additions are promising. Maybe. I mean, they seem like they're willing to stir shit up at least. And it seems like they actually know these people. But they have, this felt very old school Housewives to me. Giselle threw a hatitude party, which was like everyone gets to wear a hat. But if you present attitude, you have to wear one of the goofy hats. A taco, a banana, or a hard hat.
So I wondered what those goofy hats were doing because I didn't see them utilized at all, and I didn't see the rest of the scene. So did anyone have a bad attitude and have to wear one of those silly hats?
Not, at least not in this episode. It might continue, but everyone just got like, Karen got a Hollywood hat. They gave Mia like a big pimpin' hat because she has 2 men right now.
Wow.
And then it turned into immediately sort of an assassination on Mia because they were saying like, you didn't, protect your kids from your weird fucked up scenario. They knew you were sleeping with Mr. Inc. And she freaks out, again, mentioning the kids, but they they went for her parenting, which is pretty dark.
Right.
She ends up sobbing in the bathroom, and
So it's a to be continued.
yeah.
Okay.
I also, because I didn't finish last season, missed that Giselle and Ashley are doing a like She by Sheree type brand called
are?
G&A, which is Giselle and Ashley. And now they're doing G&A Fusion, which is going to be like wellness or something. But everyone's calling them out because I guess they had a fashion show last year. Sorry, I didn't watch it. But none of it's on the website. Like you can buy like a hat.
Oh,
Or
wow.
like it's like a full She by Sheree.
I would never think G and A would be in a business together.
I know.
I'm going to catch up. I did a horrible thing today. I didn't finish an episode that we talked about, which is horrible. And then I haven't finished last season. But the way Potomac made me feel, I was like, this feels good again, especially when we're like watching RHONY, which feels awful to watch. This felt like a breath of fresh air. So I'm going to be on top of this season again. Yeah. And this was a great premiere. The 40 minutes I saw.
I don't know if it's because I took a little break that it felt nice to like sometimes like it's nice to like kind of like take a break and then like miss what you had.
Totally. But I also just think that the Potomac cast that we know is great. I mean, Karen Huger is iconic. Giselle is great. She makes horrible decisions, but she's great. Ashley is fun enough. So it's just good to be back with a cast that you know and love. Yeah.
But yeah, promising. That made me feel good. Like I watched it last minute before we recorded and I was like, I'm actually enjoying this.
Yeah, I was having fun too. So if you were wary of Potomac this season because you heard that last season was so bad or whatever, I think this was a good start. And both of the friend ofs or the new full-time cast members, they didn't do anything horribly offensive that made me dislike them immediately.
No, and it had that thing where they showed them in photos and like scenes from the past, like they've been lurking about, which is always, I think, a good sign that they weren't like cast out of nowhere.
Yeah, more of the like Dorinda way of doing things. Like they were always in the background. Well, great, good. Well, okay, so there's signs of life for Potomac. RHONY, we didn't truly enjoy. We like Salt Lake City. And then the one thing that you'll know is missing is that Amy and I are not going to be covering OC this week. We have a huge conflict in our life, but we're going to talk about next week's OC with, what's that called? Last week's OC.
Full attention.
Last week's OC next week on our next episode. We'll have a lot of OC content next week. Anything to say as we wind down this episode?
I don't think so. I'll keep my eye out for Menendez. I hope any of our Floridian little turtle cuties are staying dry and safe.
I hope the same too for everyone in Florida.
And other than that, just keep calm and bravo on.
Whoa! Where did that come from?
From my soul.
Keep calm and bravo on. Well, good. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. Well, I'm gonna. If you want to keep calm and bravo on, and you love Turtle Time, this podcast, you were like, whoa, that was kind of an interesting episode they did. Potomac and RHONY. Wow. And that news that they were talking about, the Menendez Brothers. Why not why not review this podcast, please? Please. Even if you didn't like this episode, but you're like, I like most Turtle Time episodes, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Chartable. I think there's others, but just give us whatever review comes from your heart, what you really feel about Turtle Time, because Amy and I read those and we say, oh my God, this is so nice to hear, right?
Yep. And we say it every week. We're on Patreon watching old Vanderpump Rules from the beginning. You get an extra episode every week, so join us there if you want.
It's major over there. The last week's episode was Jax's roast, which was so fun to talk about. We analyzed every joke that was told, every roast that Jax received from all the Vanderpump Rules cast members, and it was an hour and 45-minute episode. That's not the standard, but that's just what can happen over there on Patreon. It can border on 55 minutes, which they never are, to an hour and 45 minutes, and that's 4 episodes a month. For $5, and then you get a backlog of almost 80 episodes, I would say.
It's true.
Good. All right.
So come back next week for more, or not, whatever.
We hope you love Turtle Time. Please, we love you so much, and Amy and I are going to go to sleep. Amy's got some fun plans. Thank you, Amy, for coming over to visit me and for meeting Penny, my daughter. She absolutely loves you. And all our little turtle cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs, we'll see you either on Patreon on Monday or next week on Friday for our main feed episode.
Hell yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
This one's for you.